series over the second and third quarters and directed a pair of scoring drives. In all, he was 6 of 11 passing for 47 yards and a touchdown run, and he put his team up 10-3 in the second quarter for Gerard Mayo.
He had great composure. I thought it was a good drive. I thought he went out there and did a lot of good things. So hopefully he can build on that, and we'll see how this week goes.
Joey Sly added a pair of field goals. The defense had 5 sacks in all. The third and final exhibition game is on the road against the Washington Commanders a week from Sunday night. In other NFL news, Buffalo linebacker and former Pro Bowler Matt Milano tore a bicep in practice yesterday. He may miss most, if not all, of the upcoming season. Red Sox began a 4-game series in Baltimore with a 5-1 loss to the Orioles last night. Wilyer Abreu's homer was all the Sox got on the night. They've lost 6 out of 8. They're 2.5 games out of a playoff spot. Cooper Criswell will face the Orioles tonight. Mass Live and others are reporting this morning the Sox are close to signing free agent 44-year-old lefty Rich Hill to a contract. The NBA announced its regular season schedule yesterday, and on top of games on opening night and on Christmas Day, Celtics will be part of a national TV doubleheader on Martin Luther King Day against Golden State. The Dallas Mavericks come back to Boston on February 6th. And reports out of Canada indicate Milan Lucic has been training in New Jersey in the hopes of continuing his NHL career. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Valvoline Instant Oil Change. Enjoy quick and convenient vehicle maintenance this month. Visit NewEnglandOilChange.com for 15% off your drive-through oil change at Valvoline Instant Oil Change, now open in Raynham, Reading, and Braintree. I'm John Wallach at Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 6:30.
Get the app.
There's the potential there for big stuff.
98.5 The Sports Hub app. Get the app. Now, more Tuncher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
Fred, hello. 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 Mm-hmm. Hello. Hello. Hello.
He's naked. He has a sword.
Open him up with a football.
98.5. The Hub.
Bruins are back from the West Coast.
Cocaine and hookers. Yes. Na.
Is it okay to use this for the radio?
Yeah. Welcome to the show, you sweet bitch.
And then we talked about the banana pudding. Oh my God.
Hey, good morning, everybody. And we are Toucher and Hardy, Town Fair Tire Studios, 617-779-0985. You can watch us on YouTube. And that, my friends, is a assault to the senses. You can just search 98.5 The Sports Hub on YouTube. All the anniversary stuff is up there as well. And as always, we are brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. Good morning, gentlemen. I missed the morning meeting today, I have to confess.
You missed a ton. Boy, did you miss everything.
Which is going to... I don't like to miss it. But if you were to miss one, I suppose that for my own conscience, after a Patriots game is probably... Even a preseason one is the best. But I haven't had a chance to talk to you fellas today very much. So this is my first time sitting down and discussing things with you. Oh. I forgot to set my alarm last night because I was very pleased with how much Drake May played. So I was somewhat interested in what was going on in the game. And when that was over, I was writing essays with my ex-wife for my son. School. Not his essays, but there's parent essays. There's oh yeah.
Really?
Oh, baby. And there's like a week, only a week to do it because this is like a late situation.
What is the subject matter of the essay you have to write?
What was something your child has overcome? Which, I mean, there was a litany of things. My son's really been through the ringer. So I mean, I had a million things I could put in there. I mean, just surviving Nam, for one thing.
Right.
I mean, kicking H. Man, I know what that's like. Man, you keep an eye on him, Jack. You put that spike in his arm, man. Ride that white horse. But I don't even think that's the white horse. But yeah,
Sure it is. If you want to ride the white pony. Don't ride the white horse. What you do is ride the white pony.
Yeah, I'm reading this book about the Velvet Underground, and I listen to the song Heroin.
What's that about?
Heroin. You know, I don't think I would like hanging out with the Warhol people.
I don't think I'd like hanging out with any of them.
Nah, like there's a couple people in this oral history of the Velvet Underground. If you don't know the Velvet Underground, it was Lou Reed. It was a guy who played an electric viola, a woman who played drums without a kick drum or cymbals.
Kind of like Stray Cat style.
Yeah, a little bit.
Stand up.
She did stand up.
Well, without a kick drum, there's no reason to sit down,
she did
right?
stand up.
Yeah, exactly.
And then Lou Reed, and they were playing at this. They were very influential, but they were not popular at the time. But they were playing this coffee house. One of Andy Warhol, pop artist Andy Warhol's people, saw them playing. They brought Andy Warhol in. Andy Warhol said, "I want to make this art collective," and Andy Warhol was on the Lower East Side, and he had this big thing called the Factory, where he would make quote unquote movies and his pop art and everything else, and he had this collection of characters that are around him. And I'm reading this oral history about it. It's interesting, but because I don't get Andy Warhol, so this is like I'm trying to figure it out, and I don't really get the Velvet Underground, but people I like and respect them, so I'm trying to figure it out. And there's one guy in the book that's like consistently saying like, I didn't like this. And I'm like, yeah, it seems like there's a hot chick, and then there's like a bunch of stuff I don't want to see. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, God bless them. But I'm saying that if I was in a band, I guess Lou Reed liked it a lot, but John Cale did not like it a lot. So like there's like if you said to me you were going to have a band in New York City that was going to be very cool, and here are the two options: be part of the Andy Warhol factory or not be part of the Andy Warhol factory. I think I'd go with it not being part of the Andy.
Yeah,
Warhol.
I don't want to hang out there. No, I don't want to be. I don't want to be part of that scene.
Okay, so I don't know anything, but I will ask you this. You can look at it on YouTube. There's no reason to, because I can describe it, and it's exactly what I said. Andy Warhol has a movie. It's like 10 hours, and it's just a camera fixated, non-moving on the Statue of Liberty, on the top of the Statue of Liberty, in real time for 10 hours. That's a movie he made that was released, and conceivably someone watched. Can you, without just dismissing it out of mind, can you in any way figure out why that is something that should be consumed?
I mean, only because of drugs.
But do you think that you could even last 8 hours watching the Statue of Liberty? I mean, nothing. It's literally just looking through a window at the Statue of Liberty.
No, there's nothing. There's nothing. There's nothing. There's nothing there.
But that's art, baby.
Okay.
I mean, it exists. It exists out there. That's called art.
No, the whole Andy Warhol and the Velvet Underground and like all that stuff. I'm sorry. It's 8 hours of the Statue of Liberty. 52,000 people have clicked on it. And then at some point, does David Copperfield come in and like
make everything
make it go away?
No, but Jeffrey Epstein does, and he flies just right by the Empire State Building in one of his planes, and David Copperfield's on it.
It's probably the biggest example of something insisting upon itself, which is maybe the phrase that pays on this show through the first, year. People who love it insist upon it and say it's great, and it was this moment in time, and yeah, there you go. There, yeah.
I mean, that's playing. This is
Oh,
not,
so not the
still-
Statue of Liberty, the Empire State
Oh, I'm
Building.
sorry, the Empire State Building.
Yeah.
My bad. It's called Empire, if you're interested.
Okay.
Yeah,
You
you
can
just,
go to YouTube and put in Andy Warhol Empire.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you don't get it, you don't get it. And I say this for a lot of Lou Reed stuff and a lot of Velvet Underground stuff, and at least they were making original compositions, but I can't defend it as any of it being good.
See, I don't mind them. Like I honestly, like even in a vacuum, I don't think their music's bad. I don't at all. I don't like love it, but I don't think it's bad.
But
I wonder if the point. Do you think the point of Empire is that like us talking about if it's art? Ooh.
Oh, well, okay. So just to get the discussion.
So we're not talking about like so and so's painting that we've never heard of, but we're talking about the artistic merit of taking a 8-hour video of the Empire State Building. Oh, Mr. Warhol. Touche.
I think this is meant for people who have like, I don't want to say a lot of time on their hands, but for people who are wired differently and choose to spend their time like really digging into and thinking about things, where I have always been just much more dismissive. No, it's not art. Next, let's do something else.
I think that's where we differ, because I'm well known for really taking a step back, and I put my thumbs together and my fingers in the air, and I look through life like a director.
Yes.
And try to find the beauty in everything.
I don't have.
I've been accused of that too many times.
Yeah.
Trying to find the beauty in everything.
Sometimes it's a dead bird. Sometimes it's a plastic bag just swirling around in a vortex up against a brick wall.
Oh, if I could only go back to middle school and tape that and put some music behind it and make that my project.
That kid was much older than the kids he went to school with, too. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
American Beauty.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. When do you think Kevin Spacey will be uncanceled? People are starting to come out and support him. He hasn't been found guilty of anything.
What Kevin Spacey product, if you were to feel guilty about enjoying any of it, would you miss the most? Like, like if you're a big Bill Cosby fan or a big fan of the Cosby Show, and it's like, man,
I was very
too bad I
disappointed.
can't watch this and like really like him or knowing what a piece of crap he is. If you think Kevin Spacey is a piece of crap, what would you miss watching?
I was
him?
certainly disappointed that they stopped that show that he was on, the one about the senator on HBO.
West Wing?
No. He was on the popular show on HBO. He throws the lady in front of the train. He's a senator, like a Southern senator. You guys never saw that show?
No.
Ryan Beaton. What the hell's the name of the show? Someone in this room has to know what the hell I'm talking about. It was like a hugely popular show.
House of Cards?
House of Cards.
Oh,
Thank
It
you.
was on Netflix.
That's what I meant, yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I said HBO instead of Netflix. That threw everyone into a tizzy. Thank you, Lockhart.
That's what
that was you.
I said. West Wing. I meant.
Yeah. House of Cards.
Never watched it, but yeah, I did.
Yeah, no, it was a good show.
So people were pissed that you didn't get like a true ending to that show because he had to go away.
Yeah, they did another season without him, which I didn't even watch. And now that you look back, like I'm not even positive he did anything, to my knowledge, because I don't like just sitting here thinking that people did something when they might have not. Like I know he keeps getting acquitted, and like none of these things go through trial. So that would be a real shame if you took a guy's career. I mean, not anything I'm going to go home and think about. But like if you
did you watch House of Cards?
I did. I watched it in real time.
Okay, so that's the thing.
Yeah, that was the thing. I was disappointed that Kevin Spacey didn't do it. I thought he was a good actor. I thought Kevin Spacey was a good actor. And he's like weird, but I think that's part of why he's a good actor.
But I have watched since all that went down. I've watched The Usual Suspects again.
I'll watch it. Kevin
the one for
Spacey.
me.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. Not watching something unless they're like a complete
Bill Cosby.
I watch the Cosby Show if it's on. Like it's on one.
See, that's not. Yeah, it's constantly.
Yeah,
I see it when I'm scrolling past.
Yeah, I'll put the
Constantly
Cosby Show on. Oh, no, that's ridiculous. Like not consuming something that's already been made.
But I wouldn't want to watch the Cosby Show now.
I just do it more to spite people,
or for nostalgia purposes,
or just I'm amazed it's on. Not even because of what he did, just because it's just so antiquated. But it is like a nice. But I think it's ridiculous. Ridiculous. They already made something, and now you're not. Get out of here. That's it. That's in
Today's world is nothing if not retroactive. How many times have we discussed things canceled retroactively? No, you can't see this anymore because this guy's an a-hole, or everything he's done up until now is tainted. It happens all the time.
I know
This isn't shocking.
I think it's there's that very non-deserved satisfaction from people when they can feel superior to other people and feel like they're doing something good. I'm not watching the Cosby Show. I've made that stand. Like, wow, that's very brave of you.
Cosby Show's been off the air for 25 years. Good for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Congratulations.
It's just like protesting in front of like the Taiwanese government, or standing in front of a tank in China. I mean, you really are the same thing. You're really putting your life on the line there. That patting yourself on the back for not watching something. Congratulations.
The movie Seven might be, on my list of like Shawshank movies that when it comes on, like, okay, this is what I'm watching now. I'm watching Seven.
I think I saw Seven, but I think I was pretty drunk when I watched it, so I'm not overly familiar. I can't remember everything.
It's very good. It's got to be a David Fincher movie, doesn't it?
Yes, it is a Fincher movie.
So, and that's part of it right there. Like, if that guy made it, I'll at the very least give it a shot, and chances are I'm gonna like it.
All right. Well, there you have it. That was a very cultural, exciting Friday opening to the show. We discussed the merits of art, cancel culture, the Cos show, little space. I mean, we do it all. But the Patriots did play last night, Mr. Hardy.
Oh, boy, did they. Gillette Stadium, and the people were down there earlier in the week for the joint practices. I would say not just first chance to
what
see...
kind of practices? Jazz cigarette practices?
No, it wasn't.
I used to play...
Combined practices.
I used to have joint practices with Thelonious. I say, Thelonious, man, give me one of them jazz cigarettes. And I said, let's go cop dope.
Charlie Parker ever stopped by?
Wallach. Man, Parker died with a spike in his arm.
How did he get the nickname Bird and not you?
I'll tell you why. I let him act like a lady for me.
It always goes back. No, and that's where you end it. That's where it ends every time. You go to that.
I said,
we have to
Charlie.
Stop.
Charlie.
No.
I need dope. And he said, I'm holding what you got.
The fact that you brought that up means he goes further. You're an idiot.
He said, what you got? And I said, I got nothing, Charlie. But I'm jonesing for dope. I'm Jazz Wallach. And he said, well, I ain't just going to give you that H, your hair on. What you want? And I said, I'll tell you what. I'll pretend you a lady.
Thank you. Combined practices this week drew big crowds to Gillette Stadium. Having a big crowd last night for preseason game number 2.
Huge. Mammoth crowd last night.
All right, very good. They were very excited to see Drake May. All right, we will be back in just a moment.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
Hey, it's Ryan from...
Toucher and Hardy. Hardy, what happened, my friend?
Patriots, Eagles last night at Gillette Stadium, preseason game number 2. Hoping for a little bit more of Drake May, but at the start of the game, it was Jacoby Brissett out there and punted away in the first possession. And then the second possession, the Pats driving downfield, knocking on the doorstep of the end zone.
Midway through the first, in a scoreless matchup, a 3rd and 3, trips left, one receiver, Thornton right, Gibson off the right hip of Brissett. Left foot forward, Jacoby hangs the hands in front of his belt, takes the snap, drops back, looks right, comes back left, firing to the end zone, passes intercepted, and it's run back past the 10, sprinting to the 20 right sideline, Maddox to the 40, Maddox stepping out of bounds. Taking the convoy with him across the near sideline at the 47-yard line.
Just a brutal rep, and Brissett knows it. He's acting like he's kicking a ball into the net on the sideline right now, frustrated. He had time, Bob. It's been so rare for him to have time in the drop-back game. Throws an easy pick.
He sure did. And that is at the point where you realized, it's Jacoby Brissett, who isn't supposed to turn the ball over because he doesn't necessarily get himself into a position where he's trying to make things happen. But it's been 8 years of Jacoby Brissett, and now you see essentially why it goes from team to team and gets used in spots and starts, and he's a
placeholder. That's
do you think he throws that ball in the regular season?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, because I don't.
I do.
I think he forced it because it was a preseason game.
I think that I saw it a little bit differently than Phil did. He had to step up in the pocket. He felt pressure from his right side. He stepped up and got rid of the football a little earlier or before he really should have. And you saw it on the replay. The McCourty twins were like, everybody's covered. And he stared down his guy.
Well, that's why I think he doesn't throw that ball in the regular season.
I think he flat out made a mistake.
He made a mistake.
No, I don't think he forced it because it was a preseason game. I think he made a mistake.
Okay. Because it seemed pretty obvious that everyone was covered and he was throwing it to nowhere. I mean, it didn't seem like he missed the throw. It just seemed like he was really trying to fit it in to a very small window, and it didn't work. And I just wonder in the regular season if he'd be more conservative. And I guarantee you he is more conservative, at least because the defense looks okay.
Yeah, if you have to win games 13-10, yeah.
So I have a feeling it's going to get drilled into his head. Don't throw.
Yeah.
Unless the guy's wide open.
Take the sack. We'll kick the field goal.
Exactly. Yep. 3 points. Better than no points.
Yep.
Jacoby Brissett's night ended. He was 3 of 7 for 17 passing yards and that interception. And then Drake May came into the game. And first of all, showed that he can run a little bit.
And it's a recurrence of what we saw last week for the Patriots offense, penalized against Carolina. The only penalties on the Pats were on the offense last week. Shotgun snap on 2nd down and 11. May rolling right. May bumps. He's going to keep it. Runs to the near side and dives to the 34-yard line. Bought a little room. Chased by Nakobe Dean, the former Georgia Bulldog, with a pump fake. And he gets the ball back out to the 34.
Yawn. Call me when he's Joey Milt.
Well, you may not think of him much as a runner, but Fred, he can throw a little bit too.
It's a 3rd and 5 from the 34-yard line. Gibson left. Wilcox motions to the right. 2 receivers stacked left. 2 to the right now. The low snap from Leverett. May looks left. He throws down the middle. The pass is caught. Coming across the middle, and a nice grab by the rookie, Javon Baker, on a throw by May. On time, on target, at the 46.
Well, if you're the Patriots, you'd love to see the rookie connection. It's been there for a significant portion of the summer when there's been time for Drake May to throw. That was the key there. Excellent protection, room for May to step into the throw. It's on time, it's accurate, and the Baker picks up the first down.
That was the first NFL-looking pass I've seen from Drake May. I'm like, oh, that looks like something you would see in a football game.
Yeah.
In October or November.
That was also the one highlight for Javon Baker, who had a real rough evening the rest of the night, unfortunately.
Yeah, Javon Baker dropped the ball.
Right in a perfect throw.
A perfect throw by
caught
May.
it. And then there was a play down the right sideline where Baker ran out of bounds for about 20 yards.
Yes.
He got pushed out of bounds twice by a defensive back, and May legit had nowhere to put the ball because Baker was out of bounds when he released it.
Yeah,
I believe this is the one here. If you just want to hear the play real quick,
Sure.
I mean, because it was it was his best throw of the night.
3rd down and 10, go right to left. The snap is back, and May steps up. He rears back. He throws a deep ball down the middle for Baker. Dives, and it's incomplete as the ball lands at the 11-yard line. He hit the deck. The ball came loose. Ringo was in coverage for Philadelphia. The throw was there for May.
It starts with the protection. Great job by Drake May stepping up into an open area of the pocket, and this is a dime. I know Javon Baker has to lay out to try to reel it in, but he has that in his hands. He's pulling it into his body, and it doesn't come loose until he hits the turf. It's a great throw from the quarterback on 3rd and long, let down by his fellow rookie receiver there.
Just let me interject real fast. Phil Perry, very good.
Yeah, Phil Perry's good.
Phil Perry's excellent.
He's good. So this is something I heard this morning, and then I want to put it into context. I heard a ESPN guy say this is going to be like the Russell Wilson draft where there's 3 quarterbacks that come out of it that are successful. It was Russell Wilson, Andrew Luck, and RG3. And so he said that, and the example he used is he said that it was going to be Bo Nix, Jaden Daniels, and Caleb Williams. He's basing all of that on one preseason game. Drake May's 21 years old. So if Bo Nix comes and has an okay rookie year and May sits, why does that make Nix a better prospect than May? Like, doesn't the idea that you've drafted the kid at 21, you're kind of conceding a year to develop him? And I understand that's a year of the 5 years of his rookie deal, but you have him in your possession. You can coach him now. He's under your control. I just was putting that in perspective. Like, Bo Nix is a lot older,
than
Drake May. Like, why?
It's
so
such
why?
a small.
He should be better.
Yeah, and it's such a small sample size. I'm sure people were saying the same thing. I'm not calling Drake May Patrick Mahomes, but Patrick Mahomes preseason
he was terrible.
Was awful, and he didn't play until the end of that first season, and nobody was thinking Patrick Mahomes was going to do anything.
Zach Wilson was good in the preseason last year. I mean, the preseason doesn't mean anything, but I just think we all like the NFL so much, and it's analyzed so much that people just say ridiculous crap. Like, you've now decided based on one preseason game how good these kids are going to be. I guess Jaden Daniels looks amazing, and he's huge and fast.
He's able to run. He's a dual threat guy.
So maybe they are going to all be good, but you can't tell me that Bo Nix is better than Drake May. He's played. I bet you if you looked it up, he's played 4 times as many college football games.
Probably.
Yeah.
Like, legitimately 4 times as many college football games as Drake May.
And the other thing is, you look at Atlanta, Penix too. I mean, Penix played 5 years. I mean, Drake May is 21. All scouting reports, I keep repeating myself, but it's true. All scouting reports were he's physically gifted, but he's not ready. And you know what? He got here, he's physically gifted, and he's probably not ready. And that's fine. You look at what he did last night. The numbers aren't good. I mean, they're 47 yards passing and a short touchdown run for 2 quarters of work. But he looked all right. He had a solid night. You saw what he is able to do. He's able to run. He's got the arm.
Did you say touchdown run, Wallach?
May will work in the gun. Hasty on his left hip with Baker on the outside of Polk to the left side of the formation. Jaheim Bell, another rookie out of Florida State, a tight end stacked outside to the right. Wilcox, the other tight end, with Leverett, the center to snap it back. May shifts Hasty to his right. 3rd and goal to go snap for the quarterback. A fake and a roll to the right. He's going to keep, and he's going to waltz into the end zone. Touchdown, Patriots!
Oh, what a sweet sound. This is our house.
I had so many good memories, that song. Scabba-doo, boo-ba-boo-ba-boo, having fun with your friends, doing things. All right, here you go. Get a calculator out. Wall game.
Calculator. Hang on. I'll get it for you.
You got one on your
Don't
watch.
you worry. I'm on top of this.
I got it.
Calculator.
Oh, you already got it?
Yep. All right. So, Bo Nix, 61 games in college. Drake May, 30.
Yeah.
Twice as many.
He's played twice as many games.
He looked fine last night. If Javon Baker hangs on to that post pattern and doesn't run out of bounds on another route, his night looks a lot different.
Well, anyway, he looked pretty good. And second of all, just this hand wringing over him is ridiculous. And I think that in this instant analysis of how good these kids are going to be is ridiculous too. I mean, Allen is another example of a guy that sucked his first year. Peyton Manning sucked his first year. The thing is this, is that you have to when guys have played double the amount of college football games and they're 3 or 4 years older, it's completely unfair to rank them the same thing. It would be like taking a freshman in college and putting him up against a rookie in the NFL. If you put them both on the field together, you would hope the rookie in the NFL is a lot better than the freshman in college. A kid just out of high school. Think of your own children. Think of 18-year-old kids. Drake May's 21 years old. It's ridiculous. 21-year-old kids still growing. Look at Michigan State's basketball roster. There will be kids in the summer that grow an inch.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. It's Jason Tatum.
Based on that, another small sample size, one preseason game last night, I like the way things started trending last night. Not ready to say put Drake May in and, just play him. He's obviously the guy. But no. You still go with Jacoby Brissett and you give him a chance to, see what this team is about, see what the offensive line is like, maybe get a couple of these receivers and these rookies involved a little bit, see what they can do. But at some point during this season,
if your offensive line is able to pass block to a mediocre level, then put this kid in.
Then you put him in.
Sure.
Because last night was your first chance to see him with, any degree of repetition, getting the reps last night.
He got the reps with the ones. He got the reps with the ones and looked decent. However, as Gerard Mayo said afterwards, after the ones left the game, there were massive problems blocking.
Yeah. Well, there's massive problems with the snaps. It's David Andrews has to be in there. David Andrews has to be in at center, and he has to be playing. He has to be in there to anchor that thing and to give whoever is taking the snap some degree of confidence that he's going to be delivered the ball, and at least right in front of you, you're going to be okay, kid. I can't say anything to the left or right of me. That not necessarily on me, but you'll get the ball and you'll have at least a moment to do something with it.
I think each of the three quarterbacks that followed Brissett had problems with the snap.
Right.
All three of the backups had problems with just getting the ball from center, including May on one play. I mean, how many teams do you think in the NFL in one preseason game had 3 or 4 fumbled snaps in one game?
No.
I guarantee you the answer is 0, other than your New England Patriots.
I think I heard Perillo say it at some point. It's like the offensive line, the left tackle is obviously going to be a huge component of it, but it lives and dies with David Andrews. Who's gonna be legitimately and figuratively centering that line and will be the centerpiece of it. It's like, okay, make sure that's set and then we'll work on the rest of it.
I'll tell you what was surprising is that Brian Hoyer towered over Perillo. Brian Hoyer is no huge guy. Towered.
Yeah, I don't think of Perillo as being.
Neither do I.
He's an average height.
Exactly.
He's probably 5'10".
They didn't do it like the context of which they were standing. Like it was almost a visual trick because it looked like Hoyer was a foot taller than Perillo. And then I thought about it. I'm like, I've met that guy. He's not that short.
Hoyer's only 6'2".
It's my size. I know it can be intimidating for people when guys like Hoyer and I come into a room. But I think that was an optical illusion last night. I'm on your side, Mr. Perillo.
Mm-hmm. Which is the side? Which is this that they were doing camera trickery to make Perillo look short?
The Hoyer's got
less masculine.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you said it, not me. Perillo. Look how tiny you be. I'm Jazz Wally. Let me put my beret on your head. Treat you like a lady.
I'll check it out. There you go. All right, so we have to get to Steve Burton talking to Ramondre Stevenson.
Yes, we will. When we come back, I saw this last night. I'm glad
Interview
Lockhart
of the
pulled it.
night.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, Lockhart pulled it. I'm glad that he did. It was pretty funny. Ramondre Stevenson, by the way, not the voice you would think Ramondre Stevenson. I got to admit, and I'm embarrassed to say so, but this was the first time I recall hearing Ramondre Stevenson speak, and I was very surprised at his voice. I thought it'd be more like this, but it was not. We'll be back in just a moment. everybody. We are Toucher and Hardy. Brought to you by FanDuel's Redway. Make every moment more with FanDuel. Be listening this morning at 6:50 and 7:50 for a chance to wear a pair of tickets to see Gary Payton's Bivouacs. And that is, I believe, what that caller to Paul Feinbaum said. The one who says, Happy Wednesday.
Let this ride, Beaton. Thank you. Don't turn down Urge Overkill.
Gary Payton's Bivouacs take on Michael Cooper's Three's Company this Sunday at the TD Garden. Tickets available at Ticketmaster.com. That's the Big Three Championship.
Urge Overkill. I wouldn't go so far as to say underrated. I will say Saturation is an underrated album. I think we can find some common ground on this one, Freddie, because you're not, the commercialized 90s rock and roll guy.
No.
But this was a solid outfit, these three out of Chicago.
I'm not overly familiar with. I like this song. I'm not overly familiar with their catalog.
I think you would enjoy the album Saturation almost in its entirety.
My problem with 90s alternative music was that and this is going to sound incredibly pretentious, but I had been listening to alternative music for my entire life and hair metal and rap, but so like I'm not super cool. So like I had my first instinct was to not like the groups just out of hand.
Yes.
Especially Nirvana.
Your oppositional defiance disorder.
Thank you. That's a great way to put it. Like Nirvana, like I was not going to like. Like I was going to not like Nirvana because I was like, why is Nirvana the band? Like they're not a bad band, but like my whole thing was why? Why are they the ones? Which I'm sure they thought too. Which is, I think I know they thought that.
I'm pretty sure Kurt and Novoselic did.
Yeah, because like Nirvana might be a really good band or whatever, but like they're not any measure better than 40 other punk bands?
Oh,
50 other punk bands? So like 100 other punk bands say. So like I was always like, why? Because I was also a kid, and I was like probably 15 when they broke, and I'm like, what the hell? There's like so many better bands.
Yeah, why them?
Why is it them? So they never stood a chance. Because sometimes I'll see Stone Temple Pilots with me. So sometimes there'll be, I'll see Stone Temple Pilots. I'll go, this is kind of a good song. I'm like, why did I hate them so much? And I'll think, because I just hated everything.
Yeah.
All right. So last night, they had all the people out there for the channel that the game was on.
4.
Yeah, Channel 4.
Game's on 4.
You had it's on 2 channels on cable. It was on some New Hampshire channel too.
Oh.
Okay.
But if you were watching, you saw Zolak and the McCourty twins, and you saw
another good job on the TV last night.
Yeah, I thought they did a good job. And then Steve Burton was on the sidelines, and he pulled. And I did not know this was Ramondre Stevenson. But that's who he's talking to.
I got to ask you about the guy who just left. How much are they going to miss him? And who's going to step up in his place?
Okay. So, who's the guy who just left?
Yeah, it's Judon.
It's Judon.
Yeah,
Yes.
I was thinking this
left.
last night. I was like, this is Judon. So
Now, did Burton phrase it that way because he couldn't remember Judon's name in the moment? Or did he leave it purposely ambiguous? I don't know.
If you had to guess, is it option A or option B?
I'll give him the benefit of the doubt and say
Okay.
B. He's just being poetic.
All right.
But I don't know.
Yeah, I miss Bill. That was one of my favorite coaches, but...
Whoa,
wait a minute.
Hold on a second.
I miss it. Clearly, he misunderstood.
And who's going to step up in his place?
Yeah, I miss Bill. That was one of my favorite coaches, but, Mayo, he's a great leader. He knows what he's doing with us. And, yeah, I'm excited for Mayo, and I think we can get it done with him.
I wasn't talking about Mayo. I was talking about the defensive teammate.
Okay,
Still.
Maybe.
Search. The name is Judon. Matthew Judon. 4-time Pro Bowler.
And by the
Steve.
way, but he's being slick. And also, by the way, thank you for clarifying, because I need to hear the answer to this. After the Belichick bombshell, I need you to talk about Matthew Judon.
Yeah.
Because I actually did see this live, and I knew he was talking about Judon, and then I heard Stevenson, and I'm like, who cares? Like, Rick, really, like, I thought, he meant Judon, but he's talking about Belichick, and I thought, who really cares? You're talking to a guy on the sideline who's saying just word salad that is just the most non-offensive things he can think to say. So, but give it to Bert, and he's just like, this is a preseason game. I'm gonna put the pedal to the metal and really, really push this guy into a corner. So here's what you got.
I wasn't talking about man. I was talking about good defensive teammate.
Judon. Yeah, thank you.
That's his name.
So I don't know if you guys saw this. This is the first time you're hearing this, but look out. Here we go.
He's moving on to better places.
Yeah. Excited.
At least a different place.
For a different place. Excited for him. I still know he has a couple more years in him, so I'm excited for him.
Right. But this defense is stepping up.
Yeah, defense is doing great.
So Steve just answered the question for him. He's on to better places.
Better places. Better than the team you play for.
I wasn't talking about Belichick. I'm talking about the other guy. Oh, Matthew Judon. Yeah, he's off to better places. Yeah. All right, great. Thanks.
He's moving on to better places.
Yeah. Excited.
At least a different place.
All of it, which is factually accurate.
All of that could have not happened. It could have just not happened. You could have just had the football game on. I heard whistles in the background.
Yeah.
It just didn't need to happen. How much does Steve Burton make?
A lot of money. Tons. Millions of dollars.
What does he do for a living?
He's a sports director for
he's
WBZ TV Channel 4.
Does the 6 o'clock news when Rochi isn't there.
Okay.
But he's the lead dog.
Yeah, I think he's, in some ways, is he Rochi's boss?
Yeah, kind of. Not really.
Like he gives Roach assignments?
I don't know if there's a lot of managerial stuff going on, but it's just in the hierarchy. Yeah, it's Burton.
Well, good for him. But I'll tell you this: is that that was incredibly unnecessary.
I mean, if you're going to answer it for him because he's not going to answer, you can say, big shoes to fill, but I'm sure you guys are equal to the task. Whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Like he answered the question for him.
He's moving on to better places.
Yeah. Excited.
At least a different place.
For a different place. Excited for him. I still know he has a couple more years in him, so I'm excited for him.
And then that's got to make Judon very happy. Like, wow, like a couple more years. Thanks so much for putting it on the line. Mm-hmm. So this year and then one more. Thank you so much. I'm glad that you have such faith in me.
That's right. I'm 32 and
that's
I'm almost done.
That's all Judon is looking for is a 1-year extension, and he wants $12 million guaranteed, and then he'll be happy, right? That's all he wants.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
No, that's not what he's looking for.
He wants to be paid like 3/4 of what the big guys get paid, like the main guys get paid, is what I've heard. You know who knows that is Bert Breer, who will be joining us.
Nice.
I always do wonder, like during these preseason games, you're not keeping I don't know. It just seems like a lot of work for very little results, like towards the end of the game. You know what I'm saying? Like you're throwing a bunch of stuff against the wall when no one's really paying attention. Like, you didn't have to talk to Ramondre Stevenson.
Or if you're going to do it in the first half, right after he comes out, because you have, for instance, Brian Hoyer to go to. You have Paul Perillo to go to. You have other people you go to. I agree.
I think the whole sideline reporter thing is unnecessary. They must have research that people like it, but it seems I never have. If I have gotten something from a sideline reporter, it's incredibly rare. Joey Milton, not impressive last night.
No, his first pass should have been intercepted, in fact.
Yeah.
Did not perform. Ran around a lot. Fans went nuts when he started running around.
Yeah.
Very briefly here, Red Sox lost to the Orioles last night, 5-1. Nick Pivetta on the mound, 5 innings, allowed 3 runs on 3 hits. Wilyer Abreu, a solo shot in the 4th. That was the entirety of the Red Sox offensive production.
Long home run for Wilyer.
About 412 feet, Wallach.
On to Utah Street, Hardy.
I call him the vet. That's what I call Pivetta.
Oh, nice. That's hot.
Yeah, it is. Car number 10 to the contest line, 617-931-0985 will score a pair of tickets to Ice Cube's Big Threes basketball championship game this Sunday at TD Garden. Win a pair of tickets to see Gary Payton's Bivouacs take on Michael Cooper's Threes Company this Sunday at the TD Garden. Tickets available at Ticketmaster.com. Bert Breer is going to join us in just a moment.
Stay tuned for more Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
Patriots preseason continued last night with a 14-13 home loss to Philadelphia at Gillette Stadium. Rookie quarterback Drake May scored his first ever pro touchdown in the second quarter, a 4-yard run. In all, he was 6-for-11 for 47 yards while directing 4 drives total during the second and third quarters.
Yeah, I think every time you get out there, I think you kind of get more and more confident. First off, it's always going to be the nerves, going out there, running out there the first time. But other than that, yeah, I think, the more reps, I think it's only going to help me. At the end of the day, I'm just, fortunate to be able to get out there and get some reps and try to make the most of my opportunities.
Patriots are now 1-1 on their 3-game schedule. They'll visit the Washington Commanders a week from Sunday night. Red Sox began a 4-game series in Baltimore with a 5-1 loss to the Orioles last night. Wilyer Abreu gave the Sox a 1-0 lead with a long homer in the fourth. But that's all the Sox got. They've lost 6 out of 8. They're 2.5 games out of a playoff spot. Cooper Criswell will face the Orioles tonight. Mass Live and others are reporting this morning the Sox are close to signing 44-year-old free agent lefty Rich Hill. The NBA announced its regular season schedule yesterday. Celtics will be part of a national TV doubleheader on Martin Luther King Day, along with games on opening night and on Christmas Day. And reports out of Canada this morning indicate Milan Lucic has been training in New Jersey in the hopes of continuing his NHL career. His Bruins contract expired on June 30th after he took a leave of absence from the team following his arrest in November. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Dr. Matthew Lopresti and Leonard Hair Transplant Associates, the hair doctor of Charlie McAvoy. Call 1-800-GET-HAIR for your free virtual or in-person hair loss consultation. I'm John Wallach of Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 7:30.
Boston's best sports talk. There's an app for that. Download the Sports Hub app for loads of stuff. Absolutely free. Connect with the shows, get podcasts, and more. Get it where you get your apps. Or at 985sportshub.com. Dutcher and Hardy, the reviews are in.
I got to say, I don't want to talk about kicking about 5 minutes of my time.
Hear what he said. Now more of on the Sports Hub.
Hey, we are Dutcher and Hardy, brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. 617-779-0985. Bert Breer is the senior NFL reporter and lead content strategist for MMQB. Bert joins us in the Volkswagen Dealers Expert Hotline in studio, I guess.
Yeah, finally back.
We should call the Volkswagen Dealers Expert Hot Seat because he's here with us.
Yeah, it's the steam room, getting steamy.
I think this is the first time since June, though, legitimately, because I was on the road for the last, 4 weeks? And yeah.
I was on the road going to Groton yesterday, and I can tell you this.
It's a good road trip. That's pretty far.
It's fun. Yeah. It's and I'll tell you this, that I was in the car, and Hardy, you'd be proud of me. I was navigating because I was not driving.
Mm-hmm.
I was navigating, though, and then I was using Google Maps, and it said, Speed Trap, is it still there? And I looked around and clicked no.
That is a big step for you.
And then it said...
Oh, so you're like helping out, is what you're saying. It's like a public service.
Because I always had said, because Waze is the worst. Waze is completely unreliable and dumb. And Hardy was like, well, they'll give you like little hints. And I said, well, who's going to participate in that? Like, who's like really...
Oh, so you're big on like making sure that you do your part.
He gets points.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Yeah, he gets points for when he...
Oh, so it's like a game? Is there any prize at the end?
I don't use
disabled car on the side of the road still there? Yes. Oh. And I go, bling, get a little point.
Now,
I didn't know you got points for that. That's interesting.
For being a good Wazer.
Now, do you feed information to Waze? Like, if...
I have.
Okay. Do you have to type it out?
No. The only thing that I may have done like a hazard in the road like once or twice, but the one thing I will do is when I come to like a stop and I look at my Waze and I say, there's no red line here. It doesn't show any. I'm like, that's an easy one to do because he just hit traffic and then it gives you 3 options, like moderate, heavy, standstill. And I'll generally put down like heavy. I'm like, even if I'm at a standstill, I can tell him to be moving quickly. So I don't want I don't want to misrepresent. I don't want to give them bad information, but I want to give them information.
I always go moderate.
Yeah.
A nice speed limit, not over. I'll go moderate.
Yeah. You know what's really helpful? Now, I don't know if you guys have seen this is the red light camera alerts.
Oh, with the whores?
Happened to be in Amsterdam. Yeah.
I didn't expect that.
Roxanne.
But I got busted with one of the red light cameras once.
I bet you did.
This was
Yeah,
like
you
this
did.
is like
Good for you.
This is like
Man, they called us. I was trying to score H, Bert. Get out of here. We're under a red light and we're going to get busted.
Walked right into it, Bert. You have no one but
I know.
yourself to
Treat
blame.
me like a lady.
I know. No, it was like 3 years ago. It was in Miami, which I guess is going to play into this. Yeah, right. Doesn't help.
Keep going.
You're not helping.
Man, they're bongo drums.
But I actually like, and one of my friends who lives in Florida, I asked him about it. He's like, "Oh yeah, those are all over the place here." So I get the ticket in the mail. It was a rental car, which makes it worse because then you got to deal with it with the rental car company. And he said, all you have to do, just fight it, and like the charges will get dropped. And that's exactly what happened. But those are really helpful because there are parts of the country where they're all over the place.
Do you find yourself running a lot of red lights? I mean, how helpful could it be?
No, but like if you're like, you know, like it's yellow or whatever and you might step on the gas.
Okay, all right. Yeah.
I'm just saying like those are helpful. But you would think like these apps, like maybe law enforcement would push back against the idea of all of us having heads up on
no, because you're
speed
doing
traps and
no, because you're obeying. They couldn't because you're obeying the law. Like the cops are supposed to be out there and the cameras are supposed to be there as a preventative measure. Like
they're deterrents. I think a lot. You see Stady sitting there. They're not hoping to catch speeders.
They're just trying
to slow people down. So if it works as a means to that end, they're probably fine with it.
When you were younger, you always heard like about the quotas, right? Like wasn't it the end of the quarter? Like the end of the quarter, you had to be careful.
I've
right?
heard that too, but I guess we could ask if there is a police officer who could say, "Is there really a
Actually,
quota?"
Yeah, I got some people I could ask. I've never even asked about
These
that.
people.
Did you have a radar detector?
I did.
I had probably 2 or 3 because the new Cobra is out.
I had a Cobra.
This one is perfect. This one detects everything.
But
the Escort Passport. That thing was garbage.
I never found out. I never figured out if that was really legit or not. Like the idea that the quotas exist.
No, I know. That's why I put it out there.
Yeah.
We're getting to the age now, and I don't even feel old, but we're getting to the age now where like our stuff is going to start looking like an abacus, like like my first car had a pull-out CD player, and when we went to parties, you would go in the front door, and there would just be a bunch of radios laying there. Mm-hmm. Like there was a time people were breaking the cars like all over the country.
My friend Mike Jones.
The face that you pulled off. So it was,
mine, the whole thing came out. It had a handle, and then
and then they had the one that had the face.
Yes.
You just take the face off, so it's worthless if they
steal it. And so it was enough of a problem where that was what you did, and they had auto sound places where you would. Their only business was installing. I had an endorsement with one in Atlanta.
That was probably our second biggest advertiser in Las Vegas was Audio Express, and it was your car stereo, removable stuff, radar detectors, window tint. They did it all
for all the cool people. But I had a CD player that came out, or like a radio that came out, and then I had a radar detector, which are two things that are completely might as well be Stonehenge.
Right.
Like it's completely outdated technology. It's pretty interesting.
It would be fun to like be able to show your kids like one of those things. I wish I'd, kept even an old cell phone, but the removable CD player. It's like, you did what? I'm like, yeah. When you went places, you had to take your radio with you.
Well, then
people would steal it.
And then the thing on the CD holder thing that was on the rear view. Remember that? Like,
I had such a diverse taste in music. I needed a book.
Yeah, there were the books.
Yeah, I didn't have. I mean, I can't just put 10 discs in something. Come on.
Yeah, I think I had a 20-disc Case Logic that I carried for a while, but then I had to resort to the book.
And I didn't like the CD player in the back of the car. Because
the one in the trunk?
Yeah, because that just
5-disc changer.
Yeah, because it's just like now I got to pull over if I want to listen to a tune.
Do they-
You're gonna pull over and switch it? Come on.
Do kids still have like the super loud "Look at Me" sound systems where like you see them go down the street?
Kids don't want to drive now.
Yeah.
When you're talking about kids, they don't even want their license.
I tell you who has it now, Bert, are the Amazon drivers. They have the super loud sound systems.
Yeah.
Everyone else is like, you know what? I'm just good with a super loud exhaust. That's all I need now. I don't need the music. I just want everyone to know that I spent money foolishly on a crappy sounding exhaust. That's what I want.
Because there were a couple of guys at my high school who had sound systems that were so loud that like it didn't matter where you were in the school, when they pulled in, you could hear like
Yeah, bazookas.
Yeah,
And you felt it you felt the beat in your chest
like
as you went by.
And if you were in the car, it was like uncomfortable.
The Chaldean kids would have these bazookas in the back where they had taken out the back seat and just put woofers in.
The Egyptian lover.
Yeah. Boom, 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 boom. Ryan, find Egyptian
lover, yes, please.
And so, and then they would have.
That's all I hear.
So there's this kid, Chris Koza, and he had this like IROC with a fin in the back.
Hell
And he
yeah,
goes, and
spoiler.
he go, look, it waves goodbye. And it would go, like for no reason. It just went like it tilted like a little bit. And then he had neon under the car. And I remember it flashing to the bass, but I don't think it probably did. And it went, and he would play Egyptian Lover, and it'd go, and he'd stand there like so proud, like,
where are all the ladies? Where are the girls?
ladies from Sterling Heights were in Chris Koza's car. Chris Koza's grandmother lived in Sterling Heights, and girls just like fell out of the sky into that thing.
Really?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
God.
Oh, they thought it was really cool.
Oh, boy.
The total female population. I can deal with that situation. I don't care about my reputation.
Hardy, you're welcome.
It's got the same rhyme pattern as the Intergalactic.
I think it was.
It does.
It was my buddy Murph had a pickup truck that like vibrated when the.
Ooh, that's a clash of cultures.
Yeah, just vibrated when it was.
He probably had a Blaupunkt in the right behind
I'm
the.
not sure what that is, but probably yeah.
You
Never saw Bull Durham?
a pickup truck with bass. That is interesting.
Yeah.
Because you would think that would be
And
more
then
of a Kid Rock situation.
There was the school drug dealer who I won't name here, who he had like a really crappy like 1985 whatever, right? Like, and that car, like when the bass hit, like as it was going through the parking lot, it legitimately looked like the car was about to fall apart. Like with every with every pound.
that's the funny part when you get the bass
really
like so loud
crappy
you can hear the car rattling.
Like
You can hear the
system-
suspension.
The system
coming
costs more,
apart.
The system's more valuable than the car.
Oh yeah.
This is something, and it's the last thing I'll say, and then we'll break and we'll talk about football. But my friend Jason, his girlfriend lived with her parents in Country Club of the South in Atlanta. It was this super rich neighborhood. Ron Gant lived there, all these people. And this is true. One day I thought a storm was coming. I heard just rumbling, and I'm looking up, and I'm like, it's a nice day. What the hell's going on? And then I felt vibration, and up comes this BMW. It's Too Short. He had the loudest system I've ever heard in my entire life. You could feel it. And I was away, like on
some
on
of
the
them you could
lawn.
like feel it in your chest.
I
Like,
could,
it was like, yeah.
but I was not in the car. It was so. It had some supersonic bass situation going that you could feel. I thought there was a storm. We all did.
I mean,
it's like
did anybody like really enjoy being in one of those?
No, that was terrible. And like, I gotta imagine bad for your hearing.
Yeah,
That's cool with me.
Hell yeah.
All
It's
right.
like it's that Russian sonic weapon that they're using. Oh, I can see how that
was
works
that old?
now.
Was that old RKK there on that drop?
Hell
Yeah, really cool cat.
This is unequivocally the sweetest. That's cool with me.
That's cool with me, Jack. RKK, real cool cat.
It's Mr. Kraft as Olak though.
Mr. Kraft, a couple years. Sweetheart, you're gonna call me RKK.
The more I hear that, the more I think that is they agreed to that beforehand.
What's it?
Mr. Kraft, a couple years. Sweetheart, you're gonna call me RKK. Okay.
That sounds like that was a little
I
bit reversed.
cringe when I hear NFL owners called Mr. I
Yeah.
cringe.
It's a
I
little
said
bit.
it yesterday. Unless you're a friend of my father's or a former
yeah.
teacher, then no.
Yeah, I was listening. I lose it when I hear you guys turn on the 50s music like every time. Like But yeah, when I hear that, like, and it happens a lot at like some of these owners' meetings, it's just like you hear another adult call somebody that, and I'm with you guys on that. I heard you say that yesterday, where that's like reserved for like my friends' parents. You know what I mean? Like, that's it.
Yep. All right. We'll be back. We'll talk. Bert's been to all these camps. What, 17 of them?
19 camps and now 21 teams with the 2 teams.
No, 21 teams. So we have plenty to talk about. We'll be back in just a moment.
More.
Sold Out by No Effects. I got sold out. Hey, everybody. We are Toucher and Hardy. Bert Breer from MMQB is here. And he's been to 21, seen 21 teams. Drake May played yesterday. I heard a guy on ESPN this morning, and I did find this to be silly, but I'll get your opinion. He was comparing this to this last draft to the RG3 Luck and Russell Wilson draft. And he said that the three players that he thinks are going to be the quarterbacks, because I guess based on the first preseason game, were Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, and Bo Nix. What are you hearing about the rookie quarterbacks? Can you kind of take us through the first round kids and what you're hearing about them?
Well, I mean, I think the first thing is that it's really hard to project going forward what these guys are going to be after one preseason game, because I think, like, if you want to go back the last couple of years, there was a lot of hope for Mac Jones after first year. There was a lot of hope for Kenny Pickett after his first year. Both those guys are backups now. And those guys both played pretty well as rookies, and I think there's a lesson to be learned there in that, and I try to remember it at least, like, Bo Nix was supposed to be ready. You know what I mean? Like, Bo Nix started 61 games in college. That's a record that'll probably never be broken.
And May played in 30.
Right. So, like, I think projecting what a guy is going to be 3 or 4 years from now is really hard after one preseason game or two preseason games. And look, I understand, I love Felger saying we have a show to do today. So we can't just be patient and wait to draw conclusions. But I mean, the reality of it is that, if you want to go back, to, October or November of 2021, a year and a half into Jordan Love's career, the Packers didn't know what they had. That's a year and a half into his career, and they had him in the building every day, and they weren't sure. And that was one reason why they were so reluctant to move on from Aaron Rodgers, and why they kept putting up with Aaron Rodgers and paying Aaron Rodgers the way that they did. So I just think patience is really, really, really important in these situations, and I think it's impossible to draw conclusions after even a month of regular season games, let alone one or two preseason games.
I guess the pushback on this is, after watching, Jacoby Brissett again here for a couple of weeks, now it's been 8 years. You know what you have.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what's there. Mm-hmm. So at what point is it the appropriate time to, even if you're not sure, to start working on the next era? Because the next era of winning for the Patriots, as much as we like him, will not include Jacoby Brissett at quarterback.
You are working on the next era by prioritizing Drake May's development. I don't know why people have such a hard time understanding it, but it's the truth, okay? And this is what I mean when I'm talking about Jordan Love. It applied with Aaron Rodgers. It applied with Patrick Mahomes, who, if you go back and look, like, I Google it, I think there was a practice when he was a rookie where he threw 10 interceptions, okay? So if you're prioritizing his development, then you have to be disciplined about it. And that was one thing that I really respected about the way Minnesota's handled J.J. McCarthy. And, yeah, he's hurt now, so it's a different story. But, I sat down a few times over the last couple months with Kevin O'Connell, and, what Kevin kept saying was, we have a detailed plan for where we're gonna get him, and he has to hit these benchmarks before we play him. Period. End of story. That's it. Like, we're doing it for his own good. And, what ends up happening is it's like reworking a golf swing, right?
Ooh.
Okay,
Hardy.
There you go, Hardy.
Hey.
Okay, I use this.
Now we're getting serious.
See that connection right to the co-host, right there.
Now we're getting down to it.
Now I understand.
I kind of zoned out for a minute, but now I'm back. I'm
All
listening.
Right. Okay, so if a great golfer is reworking a swing, 3 or 4 weeks in, is there a chance that it's going to look really ugly?
Sure.
3 or 4 months in, is there a chance it's going to look really ugly?
Possibly.
But isn't a lot of the times for the golfer, it's, I'm going to be better off in the long run if I go through this.
It's like hearing music, and I'm digging the song.
Okay,
Keep going.
So it's the same, but it's the same thing. It's like, you're trying to break bad habits when you do that. You're trying to develop new habits. The problem in football is that when you're in the line of fire, you can revert. It's very easy to revert to bad habits. So what happens with a lot of these guys is if they have to play too early because they're going to bad teams with bad management, a lot of times coaches on the hot seat who have to save their jobs, who are trying to please ownership. Pleasing ownership sometimes means throwing the first-round pick out there. Well, if you're reworking a guy's mechanics or his feet or whatever it is, and you put him out there in the line of fire, and now all of a sudden he starts doing all the stuff you're trying to get out of his game again, what's going to happen?
He's going to go back to the.
You're going to wreck all that progress,
Yeah.
right? So it's the same thing as like working on a golf swing, where and honestly, like that's the way quarterbacks are coached like golfers now. That's what it's almost like a separate sport the way that they're developed and coached.
Having said all that, though,
yeah.
Can I just real quick just to just I have one follow up. Why do they not teach that in college now?
Because college offenses are completely different, and a lot of times a kid comes into the pros, high school, college, having never taken a snap under center. They don't have the footwork. They're going to have to do things in the pros they didn't do in college. And the reason the college coaches do it this way is because they have a limited amount of time with them. Okay, so they have what's called the 20-hour rule in college. A college coach's job is not to develop kids for the pros. It helps them recruit if they can, but their job is to win games. And so they don't have the time to put in the sort of offense you see at the NFL level. So they have to find a way. All right, we're getting this kid from high school. We have a limited amount of time with him. He's got to juggle it with class. How are we going to get him and the rest of his teammates up and running where we can be effective very fast? So they run like simplistic offenses that put more on the coaches. That's where you see the boards on the sideline and all of that. A lot of times they're no huddle. A lot of times they're shotgun. A lot of times it's a lot of pitch and catch stuff, right? And the reason why they do it that way is because in college it makes more sense to do it that way because you have a limited amount of time. You don't have the time to put a pro offense in. And so if you do, it's going to look ugly. So we're going to do what's going to help us win right now. Well, that means that the players coming out of college have to be rewired. And like that's where Drake May is. Drake May has barely ever huddled before, has barely ever taken a snap under center before. Caleb Williams had to be that's why the Bears did what they did. The Bears started installing with Caleb Williams in March before they drafted him. They had Zooms with Caleb Williams where they didn't tell him this. They were putting in the cadence. They were putting in the formations. They were putting in the terminology. Then they brought him in for the 30 visit. They had him like working on a huddle, working on calling a play in a huddle in the 30 visit, all ahead of him being drafted. And the reason why is because he had so far to go. They knew they were going to have to start him. And so they started ramping him up then. So there are lots of challenges to this, and the Patriots didn't have the advantage of having the first overall pick, where they knew, okay, like we're taking him, so we're going to start installing with him now. It's an interesting thing that I think is a lot deeper than a lot of people realize, and I do think, look, the reason I brought up Kenny Pickett and Mac Jones is because those were high floor, low ceiling guys. Those guys had great heads for the game, had come from more pro-style offenses. You sort of knew what you were getting, and you were happy in September and October of the rookie year. But after 2 years, how'd you feel? After 3 years, how'd you feel?
Underwhelmed.
Right.
Very much
And then
so.
the flip of that is Josh Allen, who was sort of all over the place as a rookie. But you bet on that. You kept harvesting the talent. You kept working on it. And what do you have now? There are very few, the one guy who, to me, that's why the guys who are both have the physical ability and the background and the readiness, that's why Joe Burrow is a unicorn, right? Because he has both.
Yeah. Okay.
There aren't very many guys like that.
So you were talking about harvesting talent and whether or not Drake May is ready and all the problems he's facing. Patriots still gave him an extended look last night with the starting offensive line and the backup offensive line parts. He looked really good.
Yep, and that was why. Honestly, and I think that's a big piece of why they did what they did last week. I've heard a lot of this, are they buckling to the pressure? I'll give you guys some transparency on this part of it. I checked in with people Thursday night, after the game, okay, last week. Why didn't Drake May play more? They told me then he's going to play more next week, and that it was about the joint practice. was a big piece of it. Was we didn't want to put him out there with the second offensive line. We had the joint practice where we could ramp him up a little bit. We could sequence this in a way where we could get him more work with the starting offensive line the next week, because last night was sort of the dress rehearsal game where you're going to be playing your starters for more time. It just matched up that way where that made the most sense. Like, look, I'll bring you back to Caleb in Chicago. Caleb didn't play at all in the Hall of Fame game. Don't you think the Bears would have liked for him to get those reps?
Yeah.
But they weren't playing the rest of their starters. So they weren't going to put him out there behind a backup offensive line. It's the exact same logic. They wanted to get Caleb the work in the Hall of Fame game, but it just didn't make sense for them to do it because he was going to be out there with 10 guys who might not make the team.
All right, so the overall impression of Drake May last night from people that you talked to is that he looked, in your opinion, is that he looked good.
Yeah, and I think it's, I
What
mean,
about Joey
obviously we have the one throw that I think, like, okay, that's the third overall pick. You know what I mean? And that was the throw to Baker that Baker dropped.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's a throw that Mac Jones couldn't make in his dream. You know what I mean? Like, that was a throw where it was like he shuffled in the pocket was closed down on him, and he flicked his wrist, and it looked like it was coming out of a jugs machine, right? So you see glimpses of it. I think you see the escapability, the athleticism. I think, like, a lot of, like, those third overall pick traits were on display last night. And you, again, if you want to compare it, you see a lot of things Drake May can do that Mac Jones couldn't come close to doing. And now it's, you know, I think over time when you are going to get ready to play, because this isn't going to be a Jordan Love situation where he's going to sit for 3 years, you start to gather information on what he does well and what he can handle. And then, you know, it becomes, all right, how do we build an offense for him, and how are we going to meet? We're going to teach him pro concepts, but how do we meet him halfway with some of the stuff he did in college and some of the stuff that he's good at?
All right. Well, listen, it sounds like he's 21 years old. Bo Nix is what, 20?
Right.
Going to be 24.
Well,
going to be 25. Bo Nix played over double the games.
61 starts in college. He played 5 years in college. Michael Penix was in college for 6 years.
Yeah.
Joe Milton was in college for 6 years.
Right.
So, and remember too, like the other kind of interesting twist to Drake May's story, his senior year in high school was COVID. So he lost a lot of that too.
Yeah, so just the amount of football played between him and other guys. That's why it's just a 21-year-old. It's strange to go like, oh, yeah, you be the face of an NFL team. You operate this complicated offense. And by the way, do it right away.
Yeah.
That seems like a very tall task. All right, Bert Breer is in studio until 8 o'clock. We'll continue with him. 617-779-0985. We'll be right back.
Sports Hub headlines.
Patriots.
don't know if I've teased this or not, but I'll just do it again. Be listening this morning at 7:50 for a chance to win a pair of tickets to see Gary Payton's Bivouacs take on Michael Cooper's Three's Company this Sunday at the TD Garden. Tickets available at Ticketmaster.com. And by the way, Michael Cooper, John says his number to be retired by the Los Angeles Lakers.
Yeah, he's going to the Hall of Fame, so I get it, but I don't understand why he's going to the Hall of Fame. He's a role player. Larry Bird said he was the toughest guy he ever played against, who guarded him, but Michael Cooper, really?
Yeah, it feels like the bar is lower in basketball, though, because there are fewer players on every team, right? So it's easier to...
well, by definition, if this guy's going in, the bar is lower.
Well, no, but like the governor in football is like, you need to have enough jerseys to pass out. You know what I mean? Like, so that's why a lot of football teams have stopped retiring numbers, is because you just eventually becomes sort of a problem, you know?
Guys wearing Gronk's number last night. It was a little jarring.
Right.
It's weird.
Well, it's weird seeing Mac Jones' number. Like, not that he would have been retired, but it's just kind of, my son said, why the hell is he wearing Mac Jones' number? That's bad mojo.
I have seen like a bunch of people with a 10, and it's just the duct tape.
No, it's very clever.
Yeah, but in football, it's like more difficult to retire numbers for the logistical reasons of it. And I wonder if that's why in basketball you see it more often, is because there's only 12 players on a team. It's a little easier to do it, you know?
The bar's lower to get into the Basketball Hall of Fame. That's obvious.
Who's borderline Celtics?
Whoa.
There are a lot of them.
I'm looking at Michael Cooper's statistics for his career.
Yeah.
Did he really average 8.9 points a game?
Yes, that's correct. He averaged under 10 points a game.
His field goal percentage was .469.
An elite defensive player, but my God. I mean, now...
wait, are the Celtics... So all 5 of the starting 5 from the 86 Celtics are retired, right?
DJ, not Ainge.
Is it Ainge?
Not Ainge.
See, Ainge is going to be, but that's sort of for...
I don't know if Ainge is going to be.
I would think he'd have to be. Wouldn't you?
I think it would have happened already. The guy put together a team that won a championship.
That's what I'm saying.
It would have happened already.
You got to do it for like the combined service to the franchise, right?
It's never been discussed to my knowledge. No, the other 4. Obvious.
See, I would think of like a guy who won a championship as a player.
Yeah.
Not that, and he wasn't a good enough player to have his number retired, but won a championship as a player and then came back and built like multiple championship contenders, won a championship, laid the foundation for another championship. Like, I think that's a no-brainer.
I think they had the 15th or 16th guy on the bench wear Ainge's number last year. I think Jaden Springer wore Ainge's number last year.
Look at Johnny flexing that. Someone was looking at the expanded roster.
Don't you guys I think Ainge should have his number retired.
He's retired everyone else's numbers. Cedric's number's retired.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it? You have to ask MVP. That? Come on.
Yes, I have asked him.
Finals
I said,
MVP,
do you think?
sir.
I said, do you think he should be retired? And
what do you say?
He's like, I was the Finals MVP. He thinks he should be retired. And who am I to argue? I wasn't around.
The Basketball Hall of Fame is also like much easier to get into. Than
the Basketball Hall of Fame has got everybody in it. It's got Danny Hurley's dad in it. Like it's got high school coaches in it. It's got a bunch of broad.
It's got players from South America in it. Literally, it's a worldwide Basketball Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
it's got the pantsuit. It's like
Pat Summitt.
But I guess that's a numbers thing too.
It's got the history of the pantsuit.
I guess that would be a numbers thing too, though, right? Because it's like if you want to have a ceremony every year, there are fewer players in basketball, so it's harder to find deserving guys. So then you maybe push the limits.
Michael Cooper is about as low as it gets. I'm looking at the stats.
The Harold Baines of the Basketball Hall of Fame.
Oh, that's Harold Baines at least was a star for a little bit.
What would the
rebound? Listen, total rebounds 4.2 career average.
Right.
Assists 4.2, points 8.9.
Yeah.
I mean, he's like a below average.
Correct.
So would that be like the Celtics retiring like Drew Holiday's number?
Yes. Oh, not
no,
even.
No.
Yeah, probably because Cooper won all those championships. Yeah, maybe.
But Drew Holiday won a championship scoring 20 points a game for a Milwaukee team.
And he's played on USA Basketball.
Right.
No, Drew Holiday's too good.
Yes,
but that's why I told you.
Or Rondo?
Yes.
All right,
Rondo.
That's a better
Rondo.
comparison.
And Rondo might be better. Yeah. But here's the thing is that I told you everyone on that USA Basketball team is making the Hall of Fame. And the pushback on Bam Adebayo was huge. and I'm not backing off that.
See,
I
Bam
assure you that Bam Adebayo is going to
Such
win
an
it.
odd hill to die on, too. The Bam Adebayo in the Hall of Fame. Like, okay.
But there's no way he doesn't. He's going to be on Team USA again in 4 years. There's no way he doesn't make the Hall of
That's
Fame.
the exact problem, though, is once you put someone in like that, then it's like all of a sudden, from then on, it's like, well, this guy got in, so he has to.
But for the Basketball Hall of Fame, who cares?
Oh, because it's part of it. Because you just said it's not just the NBA, it's worldwide.
Yeah.
So playing on Team USA means a ton. It's more than Michael Cooper ever did, even though he never had the opportunity.
It's weird, too, because you put bizarre European players. Like Celtics had this guy, Dino Radja, who is not good here, but he did overseas, and he's in the Hall of Fame.
But for
yes, I believe he is in the Hall of Fame.
But
is Tony Kukoc in?
Oh, yeah, there's no doubt.
Oh, of course.
There's no doubt that he's in the Hall of Fame.
But when Bert
100%.
says, like, oh, well, who else are you going to let in? It's a fair point, but my point is it doesn't matter because there's already a bunch of people in there that you're like, what? All right, let him in.
Tony Kukoc didn't even start on those Bulls teams, did he? I don't think.
I think he was the sixth man, but whatever.
Yeah.
He was an important part, but there's no way.
He was an important part. I'm not saying he's not an important player, but that doesn't make you a Hall of Famer. Like, I don't know. All right, so like in football, my bar for Hall of Famer is you have to, and I don't vote, but my bar is you have to be an elite player, like a top 5 player at your position for an extended period of time. I think that's a fair bar.
Fair.
Right?
Yeah, that's fair.
It's not even close to what the bar is in basketball.
No,
Bert, since you were so willing to bring in a golf metaphor earlier, allow me to interject one here because it came up during the Olympics because somebody who medaled said now they are eligible for the LPGA Hall of Fame. I'm like, what? And they have a strict points criteria. You have to have a certain number of points amassed, and you get points like 2 or 3 points for winning a major tournament, 1 point for winning like just a tour event, and she got a point for winning the gold medal. And it's like you have to have 27 points before you're considered for the LPGA Hall of Fame.
I see.
And I'm actually okay with that.
What's wrong with that?
We can't keep every standard up to what the LPGA is doing.
Say it again and say it with some respect.
Because it sounds so similar.
You're gonna look real silly when you and I go to the FM Championship down at TPC Boston here Labor Day weekend, and you can't even say LPGA without stumbling and stuttering all over yourself.
You joining in broadcasting live on that Sunday?
If we kept every sport to the standards that the LPGA holds, its command over the public is it's just not even.
It's already got enough of a chokehold on sport. I agree.
It's unfair to the rest of the sports to put up to that kind of
standard.
It's like the zenith
on
of
that
sport.
pedestal.
I will say that there are a bunch of interesting arguments coming in that, like for the NFL, for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Like some of the quarterbacks coming down the pike, Eli Manning.
Eli Manning is an
next
interesting
year,
one.
right?
I mean, my gut just tells me no. But then you start looking at some of the numbers, and can you? And this is the Tom Morgan, the T-Bone criteria, the producer from the Midday Show. Can you tell the story of football without mentioning his name?
So, like, I think his argument's Joe.
I think Eli Manning's for sure.
His argument is Joe Namath. That's his argument.
Yeah, and Joe Namath transcended football, and he needs to be in the Hall of Fame. By the way, Tony Kukoc is in the Hall of Fame. Joe, go ahead.
Yeah, guys, if I'm not mistaken, I think Casey Jones got into the Hall of Fame well before he coached, and he sure as hell didn't score many points. He got in on his defensive prowess. So, I mean, I'm not disagreeing with Cooper. I'm not disagreeing the argument. I'm saying I think the precedent was set.
Yeah, it's a bad precedent, but the precedent is they're letting in anyone. Yeah,
no disagreement.
No, I understand. And listen,
and that's the problem.
I'm never going to go to it, so I don't care. It means nothing to me.
Basketball Hall of Fame is actually pretty cool.
Yeah, okay, but it's in Springfield, and I don't feel like driving there, and so I'm never going to go.
What if someone else drove?
I'm not going to drive an hour and a half to go to the Hall of Fame. I drove an hour and a half yesterday.
Yeah, it's like in Nebraska.
What if someone else drove and you navigated?
My kids loved it.
And you navigated, and then you
really well done.
It's a lot of fun. Yeah.
Inputted information on the Google Maps on your way out there.
I mean, I would if I was navigating because I would have my free hands.
Casey Jones is in the Hall of Fame. He averaged under 10 points a game, but he also was a key component of 8 NBA championship.
Yeah, but there was
teams.
5 teams. I mean, seriously, how many NBA teams were there when he was winning?
Dozen.
Yeah. Chuck, go ahead. Someone had to win. Chuck, go ahead.
Yeah, it's interesting you guys are talking about it because this morning ESPN they're talking about NFL quarterbacks who right now are guaranteed Hall of Famers, and they said Lamar Jackson. He's got 2 MVPs. He's walking right in. I don't agree with that. I don't know what your opinion is. I don't see Lamar Jackson right now being a Hall of Famer.
I have a hard time not seeing Lamar get in.
Is that Paul Harvey?
Is Andy Rooney?
Oh, Andy Rooney.
And now, the rest of the story.
No, Fred's right. It's Andy Rooney. Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
No, I mean 2 MVPs, like that bar being a top 5 player at your position. I'd say he clears that one.
Well, yeah. If you're going to put Eli Manning in, Lamar's already in.
Yeah, I mean, like this isn't like a argument again. Like Phillip Rivers is an interesting argument because he was like borderline. Like what is he like top 5, top 10?
His numbers are very similar to Eli Manning.
No hip game.
The problem with numbers though in football is that statistically the game like fundamentally changed. So it's really, I mean, for a long time like there was this standard for receivers that like everyone's passing now, you know? So it's you can't take a quarterback's numbers now and compare them to Joe Montana or John Elway. It's just not the same thing.
Who was the first guy to throw for even 3,000 yards in a season?
Yeah, I mean 4,000 yards used to be like a bar. Like you had to be elite. Like you were awesome if you threw for 4,000
That's like
yards.
air raid offense,
right? And like Dan Marino threw for 4,800, and that was like, oh my god, like that was otherworldly. And like now everyone does that.
But for Lamar Jackson or any quarterback to go into the Hall of Fame, if you don't have a Super Bowl win, you at the very least have to be the best quarterback in the league for a year or two, even when you didn't win the Super Bowl.
I don't know about that.
Why not?
Because was Marino ever hands down the best quarterback?
I think so.
Oh, I think
Montana.
Marino is, I mean,
Montana was better than Marino.
No, but I think
maybe
like,
him in a Super Bowl.
I think the Montana Marino thing kind of mirrored Brady Manning for like, you know what I mean? Like where Manning was like the most statistically impressive, maybe like the prettiest quarterback, you know, like, and I think that's what Marino was. Whereas like Montana was the winner the same way Brady was. That evolved and changed over the years, but I think for a period,
and Marino,
that was the comp.
Marino was in the conversation as the best quarterback in the league for a long time. For Lamar Jackson, how many seasons was he in the conversation as the best quarterback in the league so far?
I think that if you have a run where you're the top 5 quarterback in the league, you're getting in the Hall of Fame.
And then there's other ones like Cam Newton where like Cam, I think, is an interesting one because of the impact he had on football. Like he played quarterback in a different way than anybody had ever played the position before, which set the stage for guys like Lamar, you know, like where they were playing like 20 years ago, the idea of playing like option football in the NFL was like, that's college stuff. You can never do that.
Yeah.
And that like element, like with like Tebow to begin with, but then really Cam was the one who made it effective and sustainable. Like Cam's impact on football was massive. So do you consider that part of it?
All right. Well, there you go.
There you go.
Have you ever been? I imagine you've been to Canton.
Yeah, I've been a few times. It's Canton's.
Is it worth going to?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, it's a little difficult to get to. I remember. Well, I went with my dad when I was a kid, and then I went in college once where we were
drunk.
We were hungover some Sunday, and we were like, let's drive up to Canton because it's only two hours from Columbus.
That sounds like a good activity. Hungover.
I was just gonna say, you wake up Sunday morning, you're hungover. Let's go to Canton.
Hey, I'm full of dread and anxiety, and I feel sick. Let's go drive 4 hours.
But it was like I remember one of the things I do remember about it was like, oh yeah, we'll just go get, we'll go get lunch somewhere while we're up there. Like I swear, and I think Canton's changed a little bit since, but like I swear to God, we must have driven around for like an hour looking for like just give me like a Chili's or an Applebee's.
Right.
It's like nothing. So
it sounds impressive. You paint a wonderful picture.
Yeah.
I can't wait to go. I've been to Cooperstown, and that's all you need. Oh, I've been to the Hockey Hall of Fame. Very unimpressive.
That's the one I haven't been to.
That's the one in the mall, right?
Yeah.
It's
not in a mall. Yeah,
No,
it's
the
in a mall.
Basketball Hall of Fame is in a mall too.
Yeah,
no, it's not, is it?
Yes.
That's not a mall.
Yeah.
The Hockey Hall of Fame is like an old Bloomingdale's. It really is. It's like an old anchor store, and there's a bottom and a top, and you're like, that's it. Like when you're done, you're like, that's it. Because I wanted to go.
Well, because Cooperstown's like
Cooperstown's a whole situation.
It's a village, and it's like
Cooperstown is lovely.
Going there, yeah.
Cooperstown is the best.
Easily.
They're trying to screw it up.
No,
but
it's
with the Scott Rowlands and Bert Blylevens of the world.
No, but it's easily
the Heltons of the world.
No comparison.
I mean, but they're treading on very thin ice with the people they're letting in
now. The bar
now.
is being lowered year after year,
because
but still.
You know why? Pussies. These writers they're too indebted to these guys.
Yep.
That's why.
Just wait till Dustin Pedroia gets in this winter. You'll see.
Pedroia's better than Rowland or the worst is Blyleven. Blyleven was not the best pitcher on his team. And they didn't. Blyleven was. Ugh.
That's a weird one. I can't believe he's in.
Because they twist themselves in knots. These people with the statistics.
Pedroia is better than Rowland, you think?
Rowland had one championship. He never won with the Phillies, right? So he had the Cardinals championship. I'd say as a quality of a baseball player, Rowland might have been a little bit better, but Pedroia was on those championship teams, those meaningful historical teams. Yes.
Don't you feel like so much of this is like just feel too? Like when you hear the
you
guy's
should get out a
name-
pack of baseball cards and go through them, and the ones that you go, "Oh, I'm keeping that one," are the ones that when their career's over.
Should be a snap judgment.
If you go through a 1985 pack of tops,
if you're Kirksey and you're going through the weeds of F-War and all that stuff,
it's ridiculous.
If you have to think about it, like then it's the guy.
It's a tourist destination. It should be for people that want to go see it. It's not like indebted to numbers. It's not an exercise in perfection. It's stars. The history of baseball.
Well, and that's why
Todd Helton's not necessary in the history of baseball.
I could pull my hair out about Bonds and Clemens, but I really feel like that should be part of the Hall of Fame too. Because if you're telling the story of the sport, have a steroid wing, induct guys and say, "But you're going in the steroid wing."
Yeah.
Whatever. All right. Thank you, Bert.
Thanks,
MMQB.
good to see
you.
Big things going on with Bert. Caller number 10 of the contest line 617-931-0985. We'll score a pair of tickets to Ice Cube's Big Threes basketball championship game this Sunday at the TD Garden. Win a pair of tickets to see Gary Payton's Bivouacs take on Michael Cooper's Three Company this Sunday at the TD Garden. Tickets available at Ticketmaster.com. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Toucher and
Fake and a roll to the right.
Quarters and ran for that touchdown during a 14-13 loss to Philadelphia in Foxborough. May was 6 of 11 passing for 47 yards and that score while getting 4 drives in during his 2 quarters of work. Patriots now 1-1 in preseason play. They wrap things up against Washington at what is now known as Commanders Field a week from Sunday night. Red Sox are 2.5 games out of a playoff spot after losing in Baltimore last night 5-1. Sox pitching allowed 2 more homers, including a 2-run shot by Gunnar Henderson and a solo homer by Cedric Mullins. The 4-game series continues tonight. Sox are also reportedly close to signing Massachusetts native and 44-year-old free agent lefty Rich Hill. He spent last season in Pittsburgh and San Diego. He has pitched for 13 different teams, including the Red Sox, over a 19-year Major League career. And the Celtics will play a total of 26 games on national TV this coming season, beginning with the opener against the Knicks October 22nd. There is also the Christmas Day game against Philadelphia and a Martin Luther King Day game on national TV against Golden State. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Boston Vision. Go where Jerod Mayo went for his LASIK surgery and visit the eye pros at Boston Vision. Book or fill your evaluation today at bostonvision.com because your best vision is Boston Vision. I'm John Wallach of Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 8:30.
Here we go.
Boom. I win. Boom. Yeah.
It's a buddy. We've got a passion for Boston sports. Get angry. 98.5 The Sports Hub. Half toucher.
Dressed like a gorilla.
Half Hardy.
A big, beautiful ball of flame.
And a whole lot of Boston sports.
And I have had many offers to become an insider. Hey, everybody, we are Toucher United, ready by FanDuel this week. We're making moving more with FanDuel. You can watch us on YouTube, search 98.5 The Sports Hub on YouTube, and then you guys smash that subscribe button. Before I tell you how to clean your shower head, because it's calcified, the answer, white vinegar, Ziploc bag tied around. But
I told you my daughter came to find me in the house 2 days ago to ask me if we had any white vinegar. And I said, have you looked? Because I guarantee it's not here in the bedroom where I currently am. She's 17. You know, just spent a week out of the country fending for herself and then goes to find me in the house to ask me if a kitchen item is in the kitchen. Have you looked in the kitchen? In the place where the white vinegar would be kept?
Maybe she thought, I really need some dad time. I'm going to make some silly excuse just to have audience with him.
Dad, love me.
And she just thought of something. She's like, I guess white vinegar. Like maybe. Yeah. And she goes, Dad, can I see white vinegar? And her heart's racing. She's like, my papa. This is the time of my life where I need him the most. And he just turns around and goes, get away.
What the hell you need white vinegar for?
I was away for a whole week. I need more dad time.
That's why I went and picked her up at the airport and sat there for an hour while the plane just sat at the gate and they couldn't get off the plane. And then, I'm like, well, at least the bags will be there right away when they get off. Nope, bags weren't there right away. And I sat and I waited and losing precious minutes of sleep the whole time because I wanted to see her.
I was on FaceTime with my son as he navigated the Tampa airport and then finally realized, oh, there's a train. He goes, I can't find heads or tails of security. And I said, okay. And he goes, and he asked someone, and they're like, oh, a train. Thank you.
Pin a note to his chest next time. My name is Milo. I'm trying to go to Boston.
He's like, and then he goes, ooh, doggy, there's a Chick-fil-A. But he made it. But I FaceTimed with him. I couldn't take a nap that Saturday because I was on the FaceTime with him navigating the Tampa airport.
You nap on the weekends too?
On Saturdays generally, because I'll get up and there's some stuff I do generally in the morning, and then so I'll if I have time in the afternoon, I'll take a little snooze.
Nice.
Not so much Sundays, but I'm up early on Saturdays. There's stuff I got to do in the morning, and I don't have to, but I do. I like it. It's part of the routine. All right, so it was the 15th anniversary of this crazy little place called 98.5.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't know that we were doing the anniversary. That we were tying this into the anniversary.
Baby, it's all tied into the anniversary.
Okay, we kind of put
15 sweet daddy long leg years.
Kind of put a bow on that thing yesterday, but
I wasn't even waiting for you to play that. I was just sitting in self-satisfaction over the accomplishment of being with something for 15 years.
Yeah.
And anyway, when you're a part of it, you think, big deal, 15 years, who cares? But you realize how much something could be a disaster. This is my excuse for playing this audio. So you'll remember Howard Stern, greatest broadcaster, arguably most popular in the history of radio. Is certainly why I wanted to get into radio.
Oh, and I would argue, Fred, that it all ties in to the sports hub.
It sort of does.
It does.
If Stern never goes to satellite, that's an excellent point. If Stern never goes to satellite, they never hire David Lee Roth. They never have to fire David Lee Roth. They don't turn all those stations into guy talk stations that they immediately have to pivot out of and then go back to music and then ultimately lose. I mean, how many of those stations Stern was on are still radio stations? Probably not a lot. So you're right. BCN had Stern, then Roth, then Opie and Anthony, then us, then gone into the sports hub. If Stern never goes to satellite radio, that's absolutely correct. 98.5 The Sports Hub probably is not a radio station.
Yeah, the station was already suffering, I think, an identity crisis because it was Stern, it was music, it was Patriots, and then Stern goes away, and then you get the revolving door of morning shows, and next thing you know, now you're a sports station.
Yeah, I mean, only, but David Lee Roth and then Opie and Anthony, but then the King come in and really ruin things. I was on the marquee show of the failing radio station, baby. All right, so anyway,
But no fault of this guy.
Hoppin' and boppin' and poppin', baby, with the boss bed for the top of the pop, smash gold with the timely tunes for those with a textured taste. Shut up, Dave. No time to waste.
So they lose, CBS Radio loses the arguably the most popular radio personality of all time. So they go, what should we do? Let's hire a guy with no radio experience and put him on all these major markets and not only stop playing music on all these stations, but since we lost Stern, let's just jam a bunch of talk stations, talk people on it, and really screw this thing up.
Oh, my God!
And everybody on the radio, from Hardy and me to John to Lockhart to DJs in Spokane, Washington, knew this was a horrible mistake.
Yes. And
it was so bizarre. It was almost like they were trying to fail.
And, from the very beginning, it was terrible. It was awful. The program director at the time walked into his office. And I think Dennis Knudsen has told this story. 30, 40 minutes into the first day of the first show, he walked in because the PD was there to make sure everything was going, and he was sitting at his desk with his head in his hands.
Well, that same program director installed a dump button on his desk for when I was doing radio there.
Yeah, because you were a loose cannon.
That's right, especially after having Stern. And now going back and listening to Stern, I was a real loose cannon, dropping N-bombs and saying I was going to violate people until physical things happened to them. Yeah, I was real dangerous.
Wishing deadly diseases on management. You did all that stuff.
Yeah, going and saying I'm going to dig up my competitors' dead dads and do stuff to them. Like, yeah, it was. I'm like, what are you doing?
But it was bad from the start. I don't think management, at least in New York, wanted to force big changes upon him right away. But a couple months into the show, they started to force changes. It started one day when the entire show's podcast was pulled off the website or never posted in the first place. And there was a big to-do about that. So David Lee Roth goes on the air the next morning and does 20 minutes straight of his stream of consciousness, complaining, just babbling, and he spends about 12 minutes of it talking about how they're going to bring another person into the show to interview with him, and he doesn't want anything to do with her. He doesn't want to take the meeting. I listened to this entire segment. I picked it up, and I think, Mike, it's an interesting point where this picks up, where he's kind of gone through a lot of the complaining already, but this is essentially him the state of affairs with him and management and where the show is headed, and it's not in a good place.
All right, this is David Lee Roth after he hears the news that he has to get rid of Animal and the guitar player.
I think this is about the time. Yeah, there's still some of the stuff going on, but things. This is the beginning of the end of the David Lee Roth
I've
show.
never heard this again. This is audio that's almost impossible to find, in all seriousness. Here we go.
So the same individual who is our program director has decided that there is a format to be adjusted to. First thing you want to do is you might want to do a little monologue, Johnny Carson style, and then you're going to go, okay, let's open up the phones, and you say the word topic. The word topic, it already sounds like 1958 to me, man. I did my audition in Boston, and we never did pick a topic. It was me. It was Hutch. We had 2 guests the whole week. Well, actually, we had 2 Hooter girls, but 2 Hooter girls always come in pairs like lesbians in there, so that's 1 guest. And then we had the fella from the basketball team, and we never even picked a topic. I wasn't even sure what they meant when they first said that. A topic. Is that like an ointment?
This is on.
This is a live radio show.
On in New York, Boston, Philadelphia, Miami. This guy is piping through. I mean, hundreds of millions, tens and hundreds of millions of dollars being lost. Money just flying out of pockets. I like how he references the audition, too. First of all, the advice is terrible. Do a monologue. You're on the radio for 4 hours talking. It's all one monologue. And then a topic, and then go to the phones. What the hell show is that? That's not a morning radio show. That's a debate show on NPR. That's Mike and the Mad Dog.
And if they did give him that advice, you're absolutely right, Fred. Because this is something that I tell, like, people like, hey, I got a podcast where you listen. Probably not. It's like, oh, well, but this is the advice I give. I said, don't do topics, do issues. You can have a topic. You can have a topic of football, but what's the issue? Well, the issue lately in New England is Drake May or Jacoby Brissett. I said, good. Do that. Don't do topics, do issues.
Yeah, there's that whole, I hear it like in Greenberg has, on ESPN radio, has this like fleet of young Syracuse boys that come on and they go like, here's my topic, and here's why and they talk about here's why I'm making the argument.
They crank them up like an assembly line.
Yeah, it's like Jaden Daniels. I'll take 6'4", 220, runs a 4.40, and if you dig into the stats from LSU, I'm telling you guys, like they talk like a douche in a debate class, like just an awful prick in a debate class, like a kid who dressed up for college class. Screw you. Why are you wearing a button down today? Well, I'm gonna do the debate in front of the class.
You know what I do like about the music that he still has going in the background here? It's his own little thing when he does topic. Is that like an ointment? But instead, it's just a guitar lick that kind of kicks in there.
It's no mystery. It punches the joke. It's like the old boom boom.
Yeah.
A topic. Is that like an ointment? If you're going to improvise wildly and you're really going to dip into the unknown, the spontaneous, well, then the 4-hour gig is where you're going to be able to do that. And I had expressed this very early on and said, guys, why go with any format? Why decide what you're going to wear tomorrow until tomorrow? We make this all up as we go, huh? It's kind of like the Iron Chef. And today's ingredient is sausage.
David Lee Roth, weekday mornings.
That's unedited.
What happened?
What? He just changed mid.
He just stopped talking.
Oh my
started playing some song that I've never heard before, and then they played the thing and went to commercial.
I can only imagine being in the room with him and just watch, like, hey, you got to move out to New York. You have this opportunity. You're going to be on all these huge markets. This is the opportunity of a lifetime. And you're like, oh my God. And then you're like David Lee Roth. And you're like, wow, I grew up like loving you.
Mm-hmm.
This is amazing. You were the king of MTV. And you sit down and you're staying in a hotel, but you're looking at apartments, and you sit down, and then this guy just starts babbling, and you're like, oh God.
Inside of 5 minutes.
Who said that? Who said that? Baby, how you been?
Boozy, boozy, bop, city bop.
Wow. Well,
not believing me.
Listen, you can't tie the man down.
What? What is it? What is this?
It's very interesting to me.
Well, that's the beginning of the end. At some point later on, we'll pick a slow. I will keep digging, and I will find the show where it gets really bad and really dark. But as I said, it's kind of like a dark website that has all the David Lee Roth shows saved, and they're not labeled or anything. It's just MP3 after MP3 after MP3, and you got to sift through them all. But
you could have just played music for a while you figured things out. You could have done anything.
Some people burn their candle at both ends. Some people burn their candle at the middle. And some people take a flamethrower to their candle, right?
Yeah, you got to laugh. I mean, if you're on a microphone, I suppose you got to laugh. I mean, he's looking at you. He's looking at you with a big-ass effing grin on his face. You better laugh. I mean, I would have. If I was in there with David Lee Roth in New York City, like knowing all these people were listening to me and judging me, I would have gone, ha, 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 too. Like, hey, I wouldn't be strong enough not to do that. So I feel sorry for every one of the people that was in that studio, because they all knew. None of them thought that was good. It's a terrible feeling when you know you're on something completely failing. It's a terrible, terrible feeling.
It is.
And sometimes it's a glorious feeling for those who are spectating, as is the case with David Lee Roth. All right, we will be back. The baseball, Major League Baseball. Look at this. They're a topic. They have an idea.
Let's talk baseball.
Yeah,
Next.
exactly. That's a topic. Or did they say topical? Is that a medical term? All right. So anyway, baseball actually has a good idea that they are thinking of implementing, and I think they will. And it makes a lot of sense. We will talk about that in just a moment.
You're listening to Toucher.
If you're on YouTube, I just did an impression. Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy, and 617-779-0985. Major League Baseball, you would all agree you enjoy these rule changes. Do you even enjoy the extra innings, the runner on second?
I don't like the runner on second, but I love the pitch clock. Love the pitch clock.
I don't mind the runner on second as much as I thought I would.
It took me so long to get used to it, to the point where I even now, like, took a second look at the TV earlier this season. I'm like, oh, I didn't even who got on? How'd they get on?
Yeah. First pitch of the inning was hit for a 2-run homer? What's that?
Yeah, and so it doesn't really even bother me. I thought it would. I could I could take it or leave it, really. But everyone likes the pitch clock and everything else. So they don't really do it anymore, but one of the things that people hated, and myself included, was using your starter as like a reliever, like having your starter go like the Tampa Bay
An opener,
which is ridiculous. And no one liked that. But even like 15 years ago, the average start now is like just over 5 innings. And it was way longer before, and you had stars that were starting pitchers. I mean, Pedro Martinez was probably in his heyday the biggest. Was he the biggest star in Boston?
Oh, yeah. 2000, 1999, 2000 in there? Sure.
Yeah, but like if you look at the starters in baseball right now, they're, at least off the top of my head, there's no one who's there is none, in my opinion, like a huge star. Like, if you go to MLB on ESPN, the site, Verlander is like the first pitcher that pops up.
Yeah.
It's picture that pops up. And so Verlander's my age. The era of the starter is
only one
going away.
Yeah, only one I can think of other than him is Kershaw from a while ago.
Yeah, Kershaw. And so these are like guys you can just name off the top of your head as dominant starters. So that's good for baseball. Also, they want to pick up offense a little bit. And as much as this could slow down the game because there's more offense, there's nothing more boring than pitching changes, and especially when they're coming rapidly. They did put in the three batter rule, which got away a lot of the precious righty-lefty crap that you were doing.
That was insufferable.
Also, all these starters are getting arm injuries because the idea is that you come in for a shorter period of time and throw as hard as you can. So you're going maximum velocity, and MLB sees there's a problem with this, and I really hope they do this. I really, really hope they do this to save people's arms, because the idea of coming in and throwing as hard as you can to get strikeouts is boring, and it's it gets away from the art of pitching, and it's why they're blowing up their elbows. It's the velocity. Again, from what my understanding, throwing is not an unusual motion for like a human. Like you used to hear that. Like it's an unusual motion. It's not something the human body is built to do. I guess that's not true. But what the human body is not built to do is put the amount of like torque on your arm that's required to throw a ball 103 miles an hour. Like that's putting way too much pressure on the ligaments of your elbow and on your shoulder. So to get to the story, the MLB has come up with an idea that they're looking to put into place, and I think they will because of the idea that they put in all these other rules. It is a minimum for starting pitching. Pitchers have to start pitch a minimum of 6 innings. Now, how will they do that? Well, there are ways you can take your pitcher out. That is, if they throw 100 pitches, they give up 4 or more earned runs, or they get injured. Now, how do you know if they're injured? They have to go on the injured list if they get taken out of the game, which is going to be hard to navigate. Because like, what if a guy feels something in his arm, and then you take him off the mound, and then they check him out and he's fine? I guess you got to still put him on the 10-day list. So I don't know how they're going to work that. But conceivably, this takes away some of the arm injuries that are going on in the league. It adds to offense. You get to see Clayton Kershaw against a Juan Soto 3 times in a game. You get to see how a pitcher changes his strategy the 3rd time up. I guess it would lead to more offense. It would get away of just getting pitchers that are on the mound exclusively just because they throw hard, and it might get rid of like all these strikeout home runs. Like poor Schwarber, I don't know what he's going to do. These guys who just go for home runs. So I think it's a good idea.
There are small loopholes away from it. If you have given up 3 earned runs, and say you're in the first inning and you give up 3 earned runs, and then a fielder opens up the door for another 3 or 4 unearned runs to score, you're down 7-0. You know what I'm saying? There are small ways you can get around it. Overall, it's not a bad plan, but not perfect.
How would that be getting around it, though? That would be something that happened because of your own fault. Like another team can't strategize to keep your starter in by getting an unearned run.
No, I guess what I'm saying is if you're a manager and want to take the pitcher
You
out.
want to pull him.
Yeah, but that's part of the rule. Like that's part of what you got to live with.
What's
so
it,
you got
4 earned runs or 4 runs total?
4 earned runs.
Okay.
But that you have to live with that. That I don't mind that because that's competitive. Yeah, if you make an error, that's even worse because now I can't take my pitcher out. So yes, and that doesn't. I guess the idea of taking them out at 4 more earned runs is so ERAs don't blow up to like ridiculous proportions. You know, you get a poor guy in there, he's giving up 20 runs.
Right.
So, but those are unearned runs. So he still has only given up the 3 runs when you look at his statistics at the end of the year. So I don't have a problem with the unearned runs. I don't find that a problem at all. Give me a real problem if you got a problem. Wall game.
All I'm saying is if you have a game that you really need to win and you're down 6 or 7-0 and unable to pull the starter or make a change.
But the thing is that, this isn't going to be in the postseason. I can't imagine they do this in the postseason. They don't do the other rules in the postseason or the runner on second in the postseason. I got to imagine that they would change it. But even if they didn't, you know, if you're down 7-0, you're down 7-0.
So what do you think is the original and main catalyst behind this?
I think arm injuries I'll tell you 3 things. I think we made some big changes to this game and everyone loves them. What were the chances? With sports radio and the internet having something that we decided on that's universally liked.
You're talking like pitch clock, runner on second.
Pitch clock in basically in the 3-batter rule. I don't think anyone doesn't like.
Okay.
Pitchers don't like it sometimes, and they BS that it causes injury, which it doesn't. Like resting another 15 seconds, your arm is like, oh, thank you. That's ridiculous. But I think that they're high on that.
Okay.
And they go, now let's really start effing around with stuff.
Okay.
And then they go, what's a big problem in the league? And I heard a list of them. I don't have it on the top of my head, but the list of like very good to elite starting pitchers that are out throughout this playoffs push is extensive. Some good teams are missing multiple starters. I know the Braves are. I know the Brewers are. I know the Dodgers are. I know DeGrom is out, has been out all season. So, like, stars are out. That's the second. Third is they want to redevelop the idea of the starting pitcher as a marquee name. Maybe the kid Skeens has got them all, like, shivery, and they want more Paul Skeens in the world. Him starting the All-Star game was a big sports story, not just a big baseball story. So Skeens is kind of transcended and kind of broke out a little bit. In a league starving for stars, Paul Skeens is becoming a bit of a household name, if I could be so bold. And they want to get more of that. They want more stars, so that means more offense too. And conceivably, if you have to throw 100 pitches and you got to face guys 3 times, I think you have a much better chance of having success against the guy the 3rd time you see him than the 1st time you see him.
Yep.
At least that's the idea.
Just some of these things run a little bit counter to each other. Obviously, the pitch clock and the extra innings rule with the base runner are, I think, the primary reason is to speed things along. Let's go. We don't want 3.5-hour games. We don't want 4-hour games. This one has the potential to make things go longer because if you can't get out of innings,
right?
Then
No, I
it's
understand.
just going and
but
going
what's
and
the
going.
problem? Is it the games are too long and there's too much dead time? Because I would argue, all right, say that the game's 5 minutes longer because we're taking away pitching changes, which are boring and take forever. So, what would you rather see?
Somebody
extra
getting
5
shelled.
minutes of someone getting shelled or a pitching change?
That's
So
That's probably the calculus. And they said people are going to want to watch, a meltdown possibly.
That's also kind of cool. Like, there's a guy who you can tell doesn't have it, like, his sinker's not working and it's all up in the zone and he can't.
Yeah.
There's guys like good pitchers, like Sonny Gray it happens to. There's guys that they don't have it that day. And then you're like, oh, Jesus, Judge is coming up again. Judge is up in 2 batters. And DeGrom's pitching and he has no feel today.
Right.
And you're just waiting like, oh, Jesus Christ. Like, what's he going to, like, I can't wait till Judge gets up. Like, all of it seems like a very good idea to me. I can find very few reasons to think this is not good.
It's interesting. This all seems, the more I think about it, this all seems targeted at Tampa Bay. All of it.
Yes.
All of it
No
seems
stars.
targeted.
Yeah. That micromanaging.
You want to develop guys that can pick 6 innings. You want an opener? No.
Openers?
There's
Yeah.
no more openers. And how many times, and we keep coming back to Blake Snell in the World Series, how many times did we see Kevin Cash run out there before the pitcher faced the hitter for the 3rd time?
Yep.
Because of exactly what you just said. His batting average against goes way up when he faces a guy a 3rd time. It really seems targeted at one franchise. And by the way, other franchises, the Red Sox included, how many bullpen games did we see from the Red Sox last year?
But if your problem with baseball, and it's a legitimate one, is like, I hate doing this. This is not my words, but quote unquote, the nerds are taking over, right? Like, it's gone down to analytics, and there's no feel anymore. It's all like just based on cold numbers. This is the art of pitching. Like, you can't throw maximum velocity for 100 pitches. You can't throw maximum velocity for 6 innings. You have to work and become like crafty, and that is, let's say you like baseball enough to go to a couple games a year, or you like baseball enough to watch 20 games, even just 20 games of the regular season, you're sophisticated enough to know if the announcers are talking about it, like a pitcher working and how he's working. I mean, if you're interested enough in the game, I don't think you're going ball hit, would hit ball.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think that you're sophisticated enough to go like, all right, he's going to go down to Judge because that's the hole in his swing, blah, 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 blah. You can, or he doesn't like off-speed stuff, or this guy's curve's not breaking. I think there's enough to keep you interested. I mean, that's the game of baseball. It's not just all ball hit bat.
Hey, look, I'm all for more people watching this sport. The average age of the baseball fan is older than me at this point.
I don't know about that, John. Let's not go crazy.
It's a true story, man. Unfortunately.
You have an AARP card?
I've been offered one.
You just won't get it out of spite?
You know what? That's
you're not getting those
right.
mailers yet?
No, but I discussed it with my ex-wife last night.
I refuse to get one.
Yeah. I discussed it with my ex-wife last night. Brian, go ahead.
So, fellas, I agree with your point with the nerds and stuff, but I think baseball's biggest problem is there's no more personalities where everyone's afraid to say something media-wise. And Pedro was an electric pitcher, but off the field he was awesome too. But he had so many good quotes about waking up the Bambinos and beat him in the ass. I mean, it's just so boring. The best players are super boring.
Yeah, I agree.
On and off the field.
But there are guys that don't get it, but that aren't marketed properly. And, you get a guy like Scherzer who you could hate, right? That's part of it, too. Like, you can hate Max Scherzer. He's a big try-hard. He gets all, like, you're pitching, dude. You're not, like, in a heavyweight fight. And he's all spazzing on the mound and yelling at the umps. The idea of a starter as a star, people were afraid of Don Drysdale. This is before my time, but people were afraid of Bob Gibson. People were afraid of Nolan Ryan. Like, you pitch 6 innings, you get pissed off. You go high and inside on a guy.
This has been baseball's problem for years. I mean, Aaron Judge, as good as he is, he's not a personality. Neither was Mike Trout. I mean, that's the thing. Those are the two of the best players of the last 15 years, and neither of them has a personality.
Well, Mike Trout is invisible. Mike Trout, even for me, and I consider myself a big baseball fan, I have to go and remind myself of how good Mike Trout is, because who would know? When would I see unless I go specifically to see Mike Judge, which I have, when am I going to go see the Angels play? Like, when am I watching the Los Angeles Angels?
Yeah.
When?
And Shohei Ohtani, who is the best baseball player on the planet, not exactly a wild child.
No, but Shohei is doing enough on the field, but I understand what you're saying. But I have gone out of my way to see Trout and Ohtani.
Yeah.
Like, I've gone to different cities to see him, but I don't watch him. When would I watch him on TV? Ohtani's with the Dodgers now, but when would I see Trout on TV? The Angels are never in the playoffs, and they're never the national game, and I don't even watch no one watches the national baseball game every week. That's crazy. You don't do that. Sunday night baseball, you don't watch it every Sunday night. Come on, get out of here. All right. Well, I like the rule. I like it a lot, and I like it that it saves arms. I hate this idea of that just there's no art to pitching anymore. It's just I can throw it as hard as I can, and then I know I just have to face 3 guys, and then I'm out. All right, we'll be back. Did you hear? Are people in your personal life talking about this Matthew Perry situation?
No, but I'm sure they will be after we talk about it.
Yeah, because you're saying
they want that kind of unspoken. It's okay to talk about once they hear me talk about it, and then they realize it's a worthy topic of conversation.
Which is
not
why,
topic. What is that, Neumann?
Which I've been pushing on Hardy a long time. Is like I'm like water cooler with Hardy. Idea.
Oh yeah.
You're at work. You're sitting around the water cooler with a bunch of boring pieces of garbage that you work with. Oh no! I got nothing to say. The weather. In comes Hardy. Boom, boom, boom. Kabam! I got this taken. Kablooey! This is what's going on in the news.
Whoa!
And it's like an uppercut of information and take.
I like that. An uppercut of information.
Yeah, the water.
That's a
cooler with
T-shirt
Hardy.
right there.
That's
Fred.
a T-shirt. Yeah, baby, that's a T-shirt.
You, Fred, are legitimately interested in this Matthew Perry thing from the get-go.
I was, because I don't think that certain people should go to jail.
Well, we'll talk.
And I also have this wild idea that if it wasn't Matthew Perry, perhaps this investigation wouldn't be happening. How many people in Los Angeles die of drug overdoses on a daily basis? I don't think that this much legwork is going into a doctor's overprescribing ketamine.
But if you don't know about it, we will tell you.
Yes, absolutely. We'll be right back.
Sports Hub headlines.
The
All right, we're Toucher and Hardy real quick. Brian, go ahead, sir.
Hey, Jack. How are you?
Hi.
Hey, just a quick thought on the baseball changes. So in extra innings, if you go to a Dodgers game, who do you want to see? Ohtani, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So how about in extra innings, you can change the batting order any way you want. So top three,
Wait, so you would
bottom
take
three,
the
whatever you want.
You would take the runner off second then, or would you keep the runner on second? Okay, you take the runner off second. Yeah, I like that idea. That's not a bad idea. Why not? If you put in a runner on second, I don't care. Yeah, redo the order. I think that's better. I'm with you, Brian. I like that rule.
And the thing is, too, it builds up star power. You're not there really to see the 6, 7, 8, 9 hitter. You're there to see the stars. And if they come through in extra innings, it's fun to watch.
Brian, I you know what? I think that's a good idea. I really do. I'm a fan of that. Brian, I if you were in my cabinet and I was the commissioner of baseball, I would take that idea and I'd propose it to the owners. What also I propose is getting a cool doctor that will sell you vials of ketamine for $55,000. 20 vials of ketamine for $55,000. How do you get a doctor to write a fake prescription? I don't know. Offer him $55,000. I'll tell you, I've read... listen, I have had my own issues with alcohol, but I've read so many books on, famous people, not famous people that have had addiction issues. Matthew Perry, after hearing his book, is the worst addict I've ever heard. Worst addict I've ever heard of in my entire life. He had a colostomy bag because he did so many opiates that it made his stomach explode. So he had a colostomy bag for I think 6 months. And he was still doing pills. You take out my insides. I mean, I think I told you this, Hardy. It was the one addiction memoir, and I've read addiction memoirs where the guys went back to using drugs, but I didn't end the book going, he's going to die of drugs. Like the Matthew Perry book, it ends with him being sober, but I'm like, he's going to die of an overdose of something. So when I heard he died of ketamine, I'm like, well, obviously he didn't die at a doctor's office getting ketamine, because what they'll do now, and I'm all for it if it works, is a ketamine drip at a doctor's office is a disassociated drug. They give you ketamine, and a therapist administers it, and they talk to you. A doctor administers it. They talk to you, blah blah blah. But it's an in-office thing. So when I heard Matthew Perry had died in his hot tub of an overdose, I mean, this was obvious to me. He didn't come back from the doctor's office with a bunch of a lethal dose of ketamine in his system.
No, and as part of the investigation, now they have learned that his last treatment had been a week before, so the levels of ketamine in his system were not from that therapy. They have made multiple arrests, including one doctor, and he was getting the ketamine infusion therapy for anxiety and depression, but whatever was in his system when he died was not doctor prescribed. They did say that they had the same level of ketamine in his system that is used for general anesthesia in surgery.
Yeah, so you're giving an addict, like a a guy who had a horrible problem with opiates, you're giving him something that they use to knock you out for surgery as a drug for therapy, and you don't think he's going to get addicted to it? This guy wants to get out of his own head. That's all he wants, is to get out of his own head. So ketamine therapy might be great, but if a guy's insides exploded due to pill abuse, I would be reticent to start ketamine therapy with them. You understand what I'm saying? Like, if I'm a doctor and it's to my discretion, because that's why doctors administer it, right? Is to kind of pick and choose who would be the patients. I mean, the worst addict that I've ever read about is not the guy that I would go, oh, let's give this ketamine to, so whatever. But that's legal. But Matthew Perry was such a bad addict that he was paying, like the doctors were even texting each other going, how much do you think this idiot, their words, not mine, how much do you think this idiot will pay for this ketamine? And they were selling him, I believe it was 20 vials, Hardy, for $55,000, which is how you get a doctor to do it. Like if you're a doctor, you would think that you wouldn't do it, but if someone goes, I'm going to give you $55,000, and all you got to do is write me a script or hand me from your personal stash 20 vials, something that probably cost them, let's say it cost them $100 for a vial. I don't know how much they cost. I've never done ketamine. I've seen people on ketamine. K-hole, I hear can be very unpleasant. I saw a neighbor of mine when I was leaving for my morning show in Atlanta. His door was open, and he was laying on the ground with the lights on, with music playing. And I went, hey. And he,
hey, fella.
He stirred enough for a 25-year-old Fred to go, good day, and feel like that was enough.
Man.
At my age, I'd probably, seek medical help. But at the time, I was like, oh, he's moving. Like, he's all right. Oh. And he was. And I've never seen him knocked out on ketamine again.
So Matthew Perry's live-in assistant allegedly learned how to inject the ketamine from a doctor who left vials of ketamine at the house.
Now, they're charging this assistant, but here's the deal. If the assistant is getting charged for administering it, I don't know how he procured it. If he's guilty of knowingly procuring illegal drugs, that's a different story. But if I was someone's assistant, if I was Hardy's assistant, and his doctor gave me ketamine and showed me how to administer it to Hardy, I would administer it. I'm not going to tell Hardy.
But I don't think it was his doctor. I think it was another doctor separate from the infusion therapy. And now, the other arrests, there's another doctor and there's a third doctor. The arrests also, I believe, have to do with someone called the Ketamine Queen.
It's not hard on the eyes.
Yeah.
The Ketamine Queen's not hard on the eyes.
A co-conspirator, Dr. Mark Chavez, and a middleman, Eric Fleming.
Right.
So they were. So this is, the most damning allegation that they were taking advantage of Perry due to his celebrity status and money.
Yeah,
well,
in his
really?
desperate, he has all the money in the world in this desperate need for drugs. I mean, he could have, and in his mind, he probably goes, Matthew Perry's probably thinking, well, this is from a doctor. They're giving this to me in a doctor's office. This isn't the same as doing opiates because Matthew Perry could have gotten fentanyl for, way less money. In his mind, he's probably going, this is allowed, right? Like, this is allowed. I mean, did you see Matthew Perry before he died? That's not an old man.
No.
It's a guy in his early 50s. He's ravaged.
Did you see some of the text messages between these people?
Yes, go ahead.
I wonder how much this moron will pay. Reply, let's find out. Both Placinia and Chavez were medical doctors licensed to practice in the state of California. Those are texts between those two.
Yeah, I said moron, not idiot, but yeah. I told you.
20 vials for approximately $50,000 in cash, as you said.
I mean, it's ridiculous. He just was like, whatever it takes.
Here's $1 million.
He would have given him $1 million.
No,
I bet you anything. I bet you. No.
Do the math.
You're right. I think that he would have given them whatever.
Yeah.
That's as high as they were willing to push him.
Yeah.
But if they would have pushed him double that, he would have done it.
Sounds like it.
I'm telling you. I finished that book and I'm like, this guy's. I mean, he was already dead, so I knew. But I was like, this doesn't end pleasantly. This is a guy who's been completely destroyed by drugs, and he seems very on the fence. He's not completely motivated. Your stomach explodes. You can't talk anymore. You're 51 years old. Machi. I can't. So I don't know if that's the guy I'm giving ketamine treatment to. Look, if they told me I could take it, I'd take it.
His assistant.
But I didn't have an opiate addiction.
In the indictment, it says his assistant injected Perry at least 18 times between October 25th and the 27th.
Oh, my God.
And at least 3 times on the day that he died.
Yeah, so Matthew Perry was just on ketamine 24 hours a day. Just 24 hours a day he was on ketamine. He would probably get knocked out, wake up, get knocked out again. He just didn't want to live in his own head. That was his problem. He couldn't stand living in his own head. And so, the guy wanted to die. He wanted to die. He was just uncomfortable being a human being. It happens. But there you go. The ketamine queen. No longer. They found a lot of stuff at her house, too.
Oh, she's doing meth, and she's got
they got it all lined up, too. The L.A. cops are always good about, lining up all the drugs and taking a cool pick.
Portrait mode.
Speaking of drugs, Bob Socci is going to join us. He called the game last night.
If we can pull him out of his K-hole.
I know. Wake him up if he's laying in his doorwell. All right, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned for more Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
Oh, football is approaching. It's time to get on the action early this season. You can get these future bets for the NFL that are a lot of fun. Different player props, passing yards, TDs, rushing and receiving totals, and more. There's great team markets, like to make the playoffs. Take the Patriots. I would imagine the odds are in your favor if you would like to bet for them to make the playoffs. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets.
Sunday, Red Sox began a 4-game series in Baltimore with a 5-1 loss to the Orioles last night. Wilyer Abreu a home run. Sox, though, have dropped 6 of 8. They're 2.5 games out of a playoff spot. Cooper Criswell is expected to try his luck with the Orioles tonight. Mass Live and others are reporting the Red Sox are close to signing 44-year-old free agent lefty Rich Hill to a contract. And reports out of Canada indicate Milan Lucic has been training in New Jersey. This is in the hopes of continuing his NHL career. His Bruins contract expired on June 30th after he took a leave of absence from the team following his arrest back in November. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by 128 Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electric, the company that finishes every job strong. If your home or business has a plumbing, HVAC, electrical, or drain issue that can't wait, you got to call 128 now at 888-CALL-128. I'm John Wallach at Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 9:30.
No matter where you go, you're always connected to Boston sports with the 98.5 The Sports Hub app. Download it wherever you get your apps today. Hey, if your alarm clock sounds like this is the show for you. Toucher and Hardy, The Sports Hub.
Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy, brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. You can watch us on YouTube, which I suggest. Bob Socci is the voice of the New England Patriots on the 98.5 The Sports Hub Patriots Radio Network. He was featured in one of the short documentary segments in honor of her 15th anniversary. He'd set a tape to Gino Cappelletti. Not Gino Cappelletti, to, what's the other guy? The
Gil
Santos. Yes, Bob joins us on the Volkswagen Dealers Expert Hotline. Hi, Bob.
Hi, Fred. Good morning, guys. Hardy, John.
All right, so you tell the story, because it was interesting, about you sent a demo tape to Gil Santos?
Yeah, my wife and I had moved to Boston, actually Quincy, in 2008. And I'd been listening to Gil for several years and really became a huge fan of his. And, one of the things you do as a young broadcaster, play-by-play guy, and I'm sure you guys have done it with air checks when you were younger, you ask people that you respect and admire to critique your work, offer constructive criticism. So during the 2008 Navy football season, I reached out to Gil and asked him if he would listen to some of my work. I sent him a CD, and he did listen. He offered a lot of constructive criticism. He offered a lot of encouragement, really gave me a lot of confidence. And I thought incorrectly in the video. I said it was the first thing he said, and it was actually the last line of his email to me. He said, "So bottom line, don't try to take my job before I decide to retire. In a few more years, you'll be ready for it. Best regards, Gil Santos." And that was sent on Thursday, November 6th, 2008.
And so there's Bob's story with Gil Santos, and then there's Mike Gorman's story with Gil Santos. Gil Santos, A, proving himself to be an excellent human being, and B, look at this. He two great stars. You've heard the Gorman story. I'm not going to get into it, Bob, but do you know the Gorman story?
I'm not aware of that, Fred.
All right. He was pulling up to the TV station Gil Santos worked for, and he's talking to the security guard. He wants to talk to Gil Santos, but he doesn't have an appointment. And the security guard's like, get out of here. And then he looks in the back, and Mike's got his hat from his military unit. And the guy happened to be in the same military unit or something similar. So he said, "Oh, you're da-da-da-da." And he's like, "Yeah." And so he's like, "All right, come on in." And then Mike went in and ended up meeting with Gil, and that gave him – and then Gil called the guy in Providence and got Mike a job, and that's how Mike got into broadcasting. So look at that, Bobby.
That's amazing. I mean, and I think it tells you not only about Gil, but then I know that Mike has paid it forward many times over during the course of his career. And you know why he's so good, why he's so likable.
Yeah. It's like my kid Isaac in back here.
Oh,
Isaac, Isaac, come on in here. You don't even have to say a word. Isaac, one of my Hofstra boys. Isaac, get in here.
He's on his way. It's your one Hofstra.
One of my Hofstra boys.
There's only one.
How
That's
many?
him. Isaac, come on in here. Sit down.
Just sit down, Isaac.
Right over here.
Bask in the glory of all of this.
Right there.
I got my own mentees, Bob. There's Isaac.
Hello, Isaac.
Yeah, give Isaac some effing headphones.
I don't even know if Isaac has any designs on play-by-play, if that's part of it.
Isaac, would you like to be a play-by-play personality?
That's not what I want my career path to be. But
No, you got something to say. You don't want to be constricted to calling what's in front of you.
Yeah, just explaining what's happening in front of your eyes, like some commoner. No offense, Bob. He's got more to say than just what's happening on the field.
That's right, Isaac.
Man.
Well, Isaac, you sit in here. You bask in this.
Bob, you and Phil Perry for his second straight week. Very good, very comfortable rhythm. At what point do you allow your mind to wander? What if it were like this all the time?
I think actually Zoe got up and left the TV broadcast for a couple of minutes last night.
Let's let Bob. He's already thought about it, but let's see what kind of answer he gives us.
Well, Hardy, I think you can appreciate this as much as anybody because you're in the booth just about every game that we call together at Gillette. There are various points when I think about the difference between working with Zoe and Phil Perry, but most of all, at the end of the night, when we're packing up all our gear, and I peek over to my right, I see a nice
don't say it. Don't say it.
Broadcast space.
I thought you were going to talk about his genitalia.
No, you see.
I thought you were going to I look over and I see a nice.
Jesus. I don't know anything to talk about.
So give us like a number of discarded plates of food, napkins, half consumed bottles of water for Zoe versus what's there at the end of the night for Phil Perry.
Phil Perry? Well, there isn't a credential that's been left behind or any other personal belonging, and there certainly isn't a lot of trash, if any trash at all, left behind by Phil Perry. Phil definitely. First of all, he doesn't make a mess. I mean, you see Phil Perry, you don't expect that guy to leave a mess behind, and if he did, he would clean it up.
Well, Phil Perry, not a bad boy.
Yeah,
not a fixer-upper.
He's handsome.
But Bob, I'll kiss your ass just a little bit more because I listened to a lot of the game last night. I was in the car for big chunks of it. The fact that you know who all these guys are on the field, I mean, in a preseason game, it just blows me away. You literally said the names of a couple of players. I said, who? And I had to pay real close attention to find out, who's on offense right now. It was the Patriots, and you knew every single person out there. I mean, the prep for a preseason game has to be through the roof compared to regular season once you're used to certain personnel groupings, and at least you know who the starters are and who's going to be playing for the majority of the game.
Well, I appreciate that, Hardy. But, the good thing about calling those preseason games is that the listeners are not going to know either way whether you call the right guy or not. So, you just go with it with conviction. It's like the Costanza philosophy.
Yeah.
It's not a lie if you believe it. Yeah.
That's right. Exactly.
All right. So, a chance to see.
He also carries a picture around of a model so he can get into the clubs in the meatpacking district.
That's right.
That's right.
I don't think my hands are going to be photographed anytime.
Oh, no, you're not going to be a hand model?
The end of that episode is always is sad. Like when George burns his hands, he's having the good day.
Oh, yeah.
I don't like that.
All right, a lot of Drake May last night. What'd you think?
Well, I think he looked good, all things considered. And I just got off. I was listening to Gerard Mail. He's got a video conference with reporters this morning, coinciding with our talk. And he used the term, he stepped forward last night, and he did it literally and figuratively. Watching him in the pocket, the incomplete throw, for example, to Baker down the middle of the field, the long ball that Baker had in his hands trying to make the diving catch. You see from the end zone angle behind Drake May, him maneuver in the pocket, and Mayo used the term stepping into pressure. And there's a lot of things he's got to continue to improve upon. We saw the issues last night with the snap, some of the operational challenges for him getting in and out of the huddle. There's got to be greater urgency. But I think most important of all is that his performance gave us, the people that follow the Patriots, particularly the fans of the Patriots, especially the fans of the Patriots, a little glimpse and a little glimmer of hope of what could be and what should be, if this kid reaches his potential or at least even approaches it. And in another thing that stood out last night is after the game, he was asked about confidence. And I think this is one of the points of emphasis from his coaches. As much as we talk about the timetable that the coaches are looking to develop him, Alex Van Pelt, Ben McAdoo, et cetera, it's really Drake May who has the power to accelerate that time frame. And one of the things for him is the willingness and the confidence to take charge and make this a competition from his point of view. When you go back to Mac Jones' rookie, that's one thing. He came in here with a mindset, I'm going to be the starting quarterback on day one. And you even go back to when Brady was the fourth quarterback on the Patriots roster. People tell stories about Brady picking Brent Bledsoe tells it, constantly asking questions. Brady always looking for an edge to someday be that guy. And I think they want to see that from Drake May. And I think last night should help him really develop that attitude that, this is a competition. I don't have to defer anymore. This is a job that, it could be his a lot sooner than I think I thought and probably a lot of other people thought a week ago.
You were that inspired by the performance. That's good news.
Well, Fred, I think it's twofold. It's not only some of what we saw from May, but quite honestly, it's also what we saw from Jacoby. I think that what you look for in Jacoby Brissett is a guy who's not going to make the kind of mistakes that we saw when the Patriots had 3rd and 3 from the 8-yard line. And I thought there were times, too, where he looked uncomfortable in the pocket. And so, you look at him and you say, this is going to be the steady hand for the Patriots. And it's only one night. They're going to evaluate these guys in the bodies of the work. And I think May still has a long way to go to catch up to Jacoby this season and become that guy. But I think it is twofold. I don't think, I could look at the performances last night and say, the Jacoby didn't at least crack the door open a little bit to give Drake the opportunity, if he continues to move forward in the next few weeks, to have a chance to be a starting quarterback sooner rather than later.
This offense is not expected to put up a lot of points during this coming season for those reasons you talked about. May is young and Brissett is, for lack of a better phrase, a placeholder. But on the day after they traded Matthew Judon, it was very good to see that the pass rush was excellent last night.
Yeah, John, in context, too. I mean, and it goes for the offense as well, and Drake May. The Eagles didn't play a lot of the regulars. On defense, only a couple of guys that we'll see in the regular season, Bryce Huff, the former Jet, Nakobe Dean, and Nolan Smith are guys I think that they're going to look to make more of an impact as high draft picks from the recent past. And the offensive line for the Eagles as well. We didn't see their front line guys. But you do have to think that, what we saw from Keon White, for example, last night, that's a good sign because that's what he's shown when he's been on the field this summer. And I think it's some of what he showed last year at various points, especially later in the season. I think Mayo's very confident that the Patriots are going to be able to scheme up pressure with a lot of games and stunts up front. He said that on our pregame chat yesterday. It's something the Patriots have done for a long, long time. It's been rare during my tenure. Even I think if you go over all of Belichick's 24 years as the head coach of the Pats, where they really had a truly elite pass rusher. I think the most the one who comes closest to that in my time was Chandler Jones before Matthew Judon. So they always had to scheme up pressure on quarterbacks, and I think they're taking the attitude we can do that with what we have. We saw a lot of Josh Uche last night. Maybe it was because they wanted to see him play, on more downs rather than just as a third down guy. Maybe it was because of what happened in practice on Tuesday when he was involved in a bit of a dust-up after a special teams play. And Mayo told us that if you're a non-starter, you won't play in the game. If you're a starter or regular, you're going to play the whole game if you get involved in a fight. And maybe that's part of why we saw Uche so much last night. But I think, the door is open for a guy like that to show what he did 2 years ago, whereas last year he really took a step back. And he's had a difficult summer thus far. So hopefully last night, is a springboard for him.
Isaac? Anything?
You got a question, Isaac?
You bask in this. You've taken this all in, Isaac.
Just soaking it in.
Yeah. Your mic's on, buddy.
This is a vocal medium.
Don't talk to Isaac.
Your head doesn't help.
Don't talk to Isaac like that.
I'm sorry.
Jesus
Isaac,
Christ.
Can I give Isaac a piece of advice? I want to go to share, and it goes back to my first conversation with Gil after I got the job. It was right before the preseason opener in 2013. So when Isaac someday succeeds you, perhaps, Fred, or you, Hardy, or John, Gil told me before that first game, he said, listen, always remember this. There are going to be a lot of people who don't like what you do because it's not the way I did it. But just remember, there will be a lot of people who like the way you do it because it's not the way I did it. And, those are words that always stuck with me. So, Isaac, someday when you're in that chair on 98.5 The Sports Hub, keep that in mind.
Thank you very much. It's good advice.
We have a caller. If we could put him on hold quickly. Scott from Rentham, hello.
Oh,
good. Hey,
hello, Robert. How you doing, buddy?
Hello, Scott. I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Oh, you like that clean booth next to you, huh? Don't you worry, buddy. I'm back next week. I'm actually here to talk about this kid, Isaac. Hey, Fred, this kid's a peach, man.
He really is.
He came down and did one of our days down at camp. Hands stayed in his pocket. He didn't move from his spot. I don't think he spoke for 4.5 hours.
That's Isaac.
He's taking it all in.
He didn't do anything.
He's a sponge, baby.
Yeah.
Don't worry about Isaac. Thank you,
That's
Scott.
a great nickname, the Sponge.
Hey,
all right, I'll let you
so
guys.
nice job last night.
Oh, thank you.
No,
Appreciate
it was good.
that.
It was good.
You did a good job.
It was good last week. It was good last night.
It was good to see the kid pop a little bit. Like Bob said, was just listening to that. It's good to see him take that step forward. I mean, I think that's what they're waiting on. Get out there and play with confidence. He played with confidence last night, and it continued to grow. I'll let you guys continue.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Bye,
Steve.
Bob.
Hey, thanks, Scott. Hey, Scott, thanks. And can't wait. Hey, I mean it. Can't wait to see you next Thursday. Next Sunday, actually.
Enough with insincere platitudes.
Yeah, Fred just did some real gotcha surprise guest shock jockery, man.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. Well, Isaac, thank you. And Bob, thank you.
Yeah.
When we come back, Bob, I'm so loyal. I'm having a guy on who I like a lot and I think is very talented, despite the subject of his art is someone I find deplorable. We will talk to him next. Thank you, Bob.
Thanks,
we appreciate
Bob.
it.
Hey, thanks, guys. I'll stay on to listen.
All right,
thanks,
thank
guys.
you. Yeah, that's right. That's a tease, baby. Don't worry about it. You got that, Isaac? All right, we'll be right back.
More Toucher and Hardy on the way. On the Sports Hub.
You know, I got an idea for a bit. The email bit. We should do the email bit. It's a great idea. Let's do the email bit.
Hey, we are Toucher and Hardy, and all of us, except for John, who's been blackballed from there, but NBC Sports Boston, Hardy and I have both spent time over there. They were used to be in, what was the hell was it? What was the
Burlington.
Town? Burlington, which at 5 o'clock, getting there from Newton to there was a joy. And then you would get a princely sum of like 100 and change for sitting in traffic for an hour. But one of the highlights of being at NBC Sports Boston at the time was the talents of Tory Champagne. He was a director and producer over there, and he has since gone on to bigger and better things. He did the Celtics like retrospective while he was at NBC Sports Boston. Now he's doing stuff. He's doing a bunch of stuff. He's done stuff on Serena Williams, John McEnroe. He's Reggie Lewis.
I know Tory.
Yeah, you do. I had to remind you.
But I don't think I ever knew Tory's last name.
Oh, it rolls off the tongue. It's not his real last name. He came up with it. But it's
show
ESPN,
business.
ESPN's Rhythm Masters is out now, and it is a journey. This is how much I like Tory. It is a journey with Grateful Dead drummer Mickey Hart.
Worst.
A unique film exploring the rhythmic connection between music and sports, but all art must be taken head on. Tory Champagne, thank you for joining us, sir.
Goodness.
Oh, hey guys, it's great to be with you. I miss everybody back in Boston. I miss working with you guys, but thanks for having me on to talk about the film. I appreciate it.
Okay, so listen, I know you're very talented, and I want to be in your camp because I have a feeling I can clean some stuff off you later.
Sure.
Tell me why, as someone, try to just briefly, just in a way, change my mind. I find the Grateful Dead to be a blight on society. I challenge anyone who says they really like their music. Tell me why I should watch this documentary on Mickey Hart, Tory Champagne.
All right. Well, I understand. I totally understand. It's not for everybody, but as somebody myself, and you and I have friends in the Dropkick Murphys. Like I worked with them on music videos, and you've been friends with Tim for a long time. So music and sports has always been something that resonates with me. So when this project came together, it was the genesis of it was Bill Walton, who was a friend of Burke Magnus, the president of ESPN of Original Content. They sat down and talked to Mickey Hart, and Bill and Mickey have been talking about this. Bill Walton and Mickey Hart have been talking about a film like this for like 20 years. And about 2 years ago, they kind of came to me and said, could we try to do this? So I'll change your mind, and here's why. That everything about the film is Mickey's kind of perspective on being a drummer and how it relates to sports. And if you're a sports fan, it features Joe Montana, Marshawn Lynch, Ronnie Lott, some of the best athletes in the world who had conversations with Mickey, and you would be shocked. I guess the selling point, if you're not a fan, is to say there's nothing more intriguing to me that happened during the process than listening to Marshawn Lynch and Mickey Hart, who were supposed to talk for 20 minutes, talk for an hour and a half. So I myself, as we were making the film, was saying, this is a weird social experiment. We'll see how this goes. And it really started to come together and really make sense, and started to hear athletes connect with what Mickey was talking about how rhythm connects everyone. Athletes and musicians are high-level performers in trying to get in that zone. So if you're not a fan of the Dead and you're a fan of sports, I still think that this is for you and intriguing.
Okay, so Tory, is the film about music and its connection to sports, or specifically and literally rhythm?
It's rhythm. It's music in general as well. And again, I think for people that are fans of the Grateful Dead, the thing that you should understand is the whole film was scored by Mickey, and it feels more like EDM and trip hop and these elements of rhythmic, kind of electronic music that he performed with real instruments. So that's the underpinning. Is the idea was we connect the visuals with the music that Mickey's creating, and these conversations with the athletes would take place, or someone like Phil Jackson, who's explaining to you how he used musical terminology while coaching the Bulls and the Lakers to get them to play in sync on the court. So he would literally talk about 4/4 time, and you have to do 2 beats, or the rhythm is out of sync on the grid of the court. So, the triangle offense was kind of built around rhythmic terms, and that's what starts to get revealed throughout the film.
Okay, so this goes back a long way, and I noticed that Jack Nicklaus is one of the people involved with this.
Now you got Hardy's attention.
No. But the whole idea of rhythm in sports, there was a series of books that Timothy Gallwey wrote. It was the Inner Game of Tennis, Inner Skein, and then he did, kind of like this redundant inner game of music. But it's this whole notion of using things like in golf. That there's countless videos of it's a waltz, it's 1, 2, 3 for a chip shot, and it's there's different things like this. So is there, because that's some seriously sports music nerd stuff that I would get into. Is it conversations like that and kind of allusions to that type of sports psychology?
It's 100% that, except for in this film. And I think the thing that we discovered and what we're really proud of is, we did talk to Jack Nicklaus, who's kind of notoriously prickly. You know what I mean? And he was towards Mickey at the start of the interview. Jack was kind of like, why the hell am I here? And who is this guy? Right. Even though he knew who the Grateful Dead was, he just didn't understand what it was. But by the end of the interview, and you hear Jack in the film, he's talking about competing with himself on the course, and he's talking about how he had to focus and find his rhythm in his swing or on a putt. So even some of the non-believers of what Mickey was kind of preaching, by the end of the conversation, they were like, I guess I'd never thought of it in that terms. And I think my partner on the film is Wright Thompson, who a lot of people know from ESPN and does a lot of great work and is a great writer. Jack in particular was athletes, great performer, but not necessarily a verbal communicator of his feelings, right? So that happened a lot throughout the film, where these athletes suddenly were able to express what it means when the game slows down in these rhythmic terms. And, for Mickey's been drumming for over 60 years. He's 80 years old now. He's been around the world. So his ability to kind of extract that was really the core of the film and what kind of resulted in the conversations.
Well, Phil Jackson is a big meditation guy, and being in that zone, being in that present consciousness, and is that kind of what the concept is getting into that zone and getting into that that sense of presence? Yeah,
and I think the bigger underlying kind of theme of the film is, Mickey talks in the same way that you think he would as a member of the Grateful Dead. It's kind of trippy, it's kind of out there. But then when you get to the core of it, and after spending 2 years with Mickey to really understand what he was going for and the vision for the film, what he was able to do was find the common thread of connection through all people, right? He talks about how the rhythm started when the Big Bang started, right? And it's really out there. But as the film progresses, he's able to tie that back together, that rhythm is kind of in everything that we do in life in general. So he feels, and the message of the film really is, but whether it's music or sports, these are people operating at this incredibly high level. And that's what Bill Walton and Mickey used to talk about. And, even we had a premiere in Vegas right before one of the Spear shows for the film, and the entire Walton family came, all the members of Dead and Company came, and Luke Walton actually came up to me after the film, like, hey man, this is what my dad has been talking about for 40 years with Mickey, and you guys did it, you captured it. So it was really kind of, I'll be honest, there were times where we were saying to ourselves, are we going to get this right, or is this just going to be a hodgepodge of stuff? And for those people and an athlete like Luke to be able to watch the film and understand it right away was kind of validating in the moment.
Well, I will call you a war correspondent if you spent 2 years with the Dead, my friend. That's like being in the trenches of Normandy. I'll tell you.
I'm forever changed in some good ways and maybe some not so good ways, but we'll find out.
They still dosing people or no?
They didn't dose me, so I'm good.
All right,
good.
Very good. That was a big thing.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Tory Champagne, congratulations. It sounds like honestly like a dream project. It's ESPN experimenting here. It
Yeah.
seems like you got a lot of freedom during this, and it's good that you got all these big names.
Yeah, thanks. And you know what, Fred, I'll share with you before we go, too. When we went out to the Sphere, the Boston connection, Bob Cousy's in the film. That was Mickey's greatest hero when he was growing up. So to have Bob get into this film and talk about it, it ended up resulting in Wick Grossbeck actually came out to the Sphere show and was with us. He's a big fan of the Grateful Dead. And Mickey and Wick got to share some time together after the show and talk about Bob. So it was cool for me being from Boston and being such a Boston sports fan to kind of see that connection come full circle too with this project and just have people from Boston back home be involved. So it was really cool.
How do people watch it? How do I find it? How do I watch this thing?
Yeah, it debuted the other night on ESPN, and it's now available on ESPN Plus streaming. So, head on over to ESPN Plus and check it out.
All right, Tory Champagne, you're very talented, and I know that I do not like the Grateful Dead, and I had you on because I respect your talent that much, Tory.
I was skeptical about it, Tory, but honestly, when you start talking about it, I'm like, oh, yeah, all these terms are interchangeable. When you talk about sports, you talk about getting in a rhythm or having the right tempo of things. I'm like, these are all drumming, rhythmic terminology terms that it actually makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Yeah, well,
good.
Tory, thank you so much, sir. We appreciate the time.
Thanks so much, guys. Take care. I'll talk to you.
All right, there you go. I'm good with the Walton family now. I promoted the project.
Is that why we did that?
Oh, nice.
No, we did that because Tory is honestly like really talented, and so.
But it doesn't hurt.
I think that Godshot, boom. I think that was sealing the whole circle. Said something that offended people about Bill Walton.
All is forgiven.
Then it comes back around, promoted his dream lifelong project. I was about to say, but then he got into like how much it meant to the Walton family. I was going to say to him, he's like, it's about achieving greatness, and it's getting in that zone. And I'm like, how jealous is Mickey Hart of people that have done that? But he did not. I did not have an opening. So just know I had something very smart to say.
Yeah.
But I didn't have an opening. I still, I can see if I would just see Jack Nicklaus. It's worth watching just to see Jack Nicklaus sitting down with the guy from the Dead.
Yeah, that's.
What do you want, kid? I'm your age. All right. Well, as long as they don't play a lot of Dead music,
Yeah.
I can't condone that. The Grateful Dead are a terrible, terrible band. All right, we'll be right back.
Sports Hub headline. It's time for The Stack on
Andy, we were just talking to a director of a film about featuring one of the members of the Grateful Dead. You have something to say, Andy?
Guys, I don't know if we want to not gloss past the fact that Wick is a deadhead.
Yeah. So Wick Grossbeck is a deadhead. Yes, Andy, that is true.
Right. So, I mean, I don't know. Like when I was in high school, it was always the kids who went and did all those fun things, and then their parents sent them off for, to explore themselves after they graduated. And what do? Follow the dead.
Yeah.
Or you buy the Celtics.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Wick Grossbeck's dad's paying him for him to see the Grateful Dead and paying for the Celtics. When you could have knocked me over with a feather when he told me that Wick Grossbeck was at a Grateful Dead show. You mean a really privileged dude that was faking owning the Celtics for a long time? Go ahead, Jonathan.
A small bit of news about the Red Sox this morning.
Ooh.
Chris Cotillo, who we've had on the show many times.
Get to it, Wallach.
Okay, Tristan Casas on his way to Baltimore should be in the lineup tonight. First time in 4 months. He will be in the lineup tonight against the Orioles. Couldn't come at a better time. Sox need that bat in the lineup, so
all right,
good for him.
Okay.
Very good.
Also, a little bit of news. Gerard Mayo speaking this morning about Drake May.
Drake potentially beating Jacoby out. Do you see this as being a competition between the two of them right now?
Start it over again. I'm sorry. You know how many of these dumb jokes that I keep in the back of my head that I don't say?
I get to see the process from here.
No, it's just I'm thinking of a million stupid things to say.
No, I see it in your face.
Corny, they're all puns. I know. I
see it in your face. I see the sorting happening from here.
Now that I don't drink anymore, I think of just it's constant stupid jokes constantly.
Out. Do you see this as being a competition between the two of them right now as to who's going to be, the starting quarterback against Cincinnati?
I do. We have 3 more days of training camp practices, and it's our job as coaches to evaluate, and the competition isn't over. They're still going to go out there, and they have to show not only their, themselves and the coaches, but also their teammates. So it's definitely still a competition.
You mentioned, the strides that Drake has taken and his development so far. What additionally do you need to see from him to be comfortable that he could be, your guy on opening day?
Yeah, I think first and foremost is just the entire operation. I think it needs to be faster. I think he needs to, get those guys in the huddle faster, get them out of the huddle faster, and get to the line and be, and just be on point. I think that's definitely a thing that he has to work on, and I think he is. And like I said, we have 3 more days of camp, and that's going to be my point of emphasis for him.
All right, I'm going to pull a Boston sports thing. Go back about to the spot where it's like dead.
Yep.
A little bit further up. And I got to tell you this, is that this doesn't sound like a guy who's got complete – I'm going to pull Boston sports thing. Mayo does not seem like a guy who's got a complete knowledge of what's going on with the offense. Go ahead.
His development so far. What additionally do you need to see from him to be comfortable that he could be, your guy on opening day?
Yeah, I think first and foremost is just the entire operation. I think it needs to be faster. I think he needs to, get those guys in the huddle faster, get them out of the huddle faster, and get to the line and be, and just be on point. I think that's definitely a thing that he has to work on.
That's not a great deal of analysis.
You got to be on point. You got to be on top of. You got to be Johnny on the spot.
I'd like him to play well. Is what I would like. Throw the football to guys that catch it.
I think I know what he's saying. Operationally, it's one of the things that you were that I think all of us were looking at in camp like last year when you're looking at Mac Jones and you were looking at Bailey Zappi and like how about Zapp? How about Zappi as being the guy this year? Zappe still didn't look like a guy getting in and out of the huddle and getting up to the line like an NFL quarterback. There's just something about his demeanor on the field. It's like, I can't envision this in a regular season game.
I love Christopher Price, and I love that he does the show, but the idea that Bailey Zappi was going to go somehow to Minnesota and usurp Sam Darnold as the quarterback is
he was adamant that he's better than Sam Darnold.
I don't know. He knows more about football than I do. There's no question about it, but I find that very difficult to believe. I mean, Sam Darnold is a physically gifted kid. Like, and I don't think he's dumb.
No, I looked it up. Remember I was talking about that season with the Jets. He was 7-6 with the Jets in 2019 with Jamison Crowder as his top receiver.
Yeah,
I mean, he's good. He's much better than Zappe is.
Like, I think that there's a world that exists that Sam Darnold got drafted by a better team with real coaches and a real owner, and not the Jets, and developed into a top 15 quarterback. I think that world exists. I'm starting, the more I look into it, I'm starting to really believe that so much of success of quarterbacks is circumstantial. Like Tom Brady, if it's not Belichick, probably never gets to play. Never gets that starting job. I mean, you know it. We've heard it a million times. Patrick Mahomes, I don't think is Patrick Mahomes if Andy Reid's not his coach. And then think of how many talented guys like Sam Darnold have gone to garbage organizations and just gotten where they're changing coaches every year and get run into the ground and never develop. As much as he sucks, Josh Rosen, I saw like a YouTube thing on him, his career. But it was just like horrible situation after horrible situation, and you end up feeling bad for the guy. Who knows if he ever would have been any good, but he certainly never stood a chance. He never stood a chance. He went to a team with drafted quarterback the next year. I mean, he never had a chance. So, but Drake May looked good. You should be excited for this stuff as fans. And we did the math before. I told you, I heard a guy on ESPN say this draft is going to be like the Aaron Luck draft where there was Aaron Luck, RG3, and Russell Wilson. The quarterbacks he said were Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, and Bo Nix. First of all, you're going off of one preseason game, which I can't stand. I know football is really popular, but just jumping to a take is ridiculous. And by the way, Bo Nix should be way better than Drake May. We did it. He started 61 games in college.
Twice as many.
Drake May played in 30. He's 4 or 5 years older than Drake May. Drake May is 21 years old.
And Bo Nix is 24.
And 24, about to turn 25. Who knows? There's sometimes gets to be months.
Yeah, so we don't know. No one knows when his birthday is, Walt. Like, he might be 25.
That's good. That's true. There's no way of finding out.
There's no way of
either.
finding out.
Yeah.
We know that the Boston Topless March is tomorrow. And just literally parading around for the rights for everybody to go topless in public.
Well, the
should they so choose.
Alan Dershowitz, famous attorney, it's been told that he loves to play nude volleyball where it's allowed in Martha's Vineyard.
That's right. That's right. Well,
so if he's allowed to show the red patch, scoop-a-doop, why not?
Boston.com did a survey. Should everyone be allowed to go topless? Should women be allowed to go topless just like men? 1,400 respondents.
Ooh, and all of them with lots to do.
69% of the vote said yes, women should be allowed to go topless. What percentage of the people voting yes were men? Because you could also identify your gender in this otherwise anonymous survey.
Oh, I don't like that.
85%. Of the yes votes were from men.
I got news for you. The ladies that are going to be topless, I would imagine, are ladies that you would prefer, if all things were equal, to be covered.
JB from the North Shore made some commentary along with his vote. As a male, I don't feel women should be forced to cover certain body parts to protect men from the male fetish for breast. The breast is not inherently sexual. It is only the requirement to not show breasts that feeds the obsession for them.
This sounds like my attorney in the People versus DA. It's not a fetish. He had a camera in there for legitimate reasons.
Yeah, I can't.
The weird breast fetish.
A camera at Foot Locker.
We're done as a species. The unreasonable breast fetish. Now that if you like women's breasts as a heterosexual or someone who finds women attractive, that's a fetish. You're fetishizing it. I like this woman's body. Well, that's a fetish. That's not genitalia.
Yeah.
Well, neither is a face.
I got a face fetish.
Yeah, like I like attractive people. Whoopsies. That weird fetish I have.
Pig.
I really am. Really. I enjoy attractive people.
I also got an email from Josh earlier for making fun of me for giving Bob credit for immediately rattling off the names of the play-by-play during last night's game. Like, oh, wow, you read the names off a piece of paper. That's awesome. I don't think you have any idea what you're talking about,
No
Josh.
clue.
Watch that game. Tell me, with all the personnel changes going in and out, who's out there, rookie receivers, guys who may have even been on the team, and the fact that he's able to identify in the moment, not looking down at his sheet. He knew who those guys were.
Remember, we were talking about a spotter who said he's only been used by Bob once.
Thank you. So
No, Bob
shut
is
up,
incredibly
Josh.
talented.
All right.
Bob was excellent as always last night, even more so.
Well, if you want your emails read on the air, Hardy at 98.5thesports.com.
Josh emails a lot. I like his emails, but you're out of line, Josh.
Yeah! We're all here next week, and then we get a break. John's already had his break, but I do need a break.
I'm done.
I'm sick of getting up in the morning for a while.
God bless.
I can't wait till I go out to my parents' house in Tennessee. Jealous boys.
It's going to be awesome.
We'll bet.
Yeah. I'll have the whole downstairs. I can Dershowitz the whole thing.
That's something to look forward to.
Oh, absolutely.
Let the patch fly.
All right. That'll do it for us, everyone. Have a great day. Bye.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the